Okay, we're live.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'd like to call this session of the Board of Revision to order and begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Ashkenazi, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoalway 41st Nation and Treaty 3 territory. Today with me is Ann Knight, appearing on Zoom. In this hearing room with me is Bill Moretsky. The City of Winnipeg Assessment Department is represented by Shannon Shabo, and my name is Harvey Diamond. Our assistant is Stephen Lunn. Excuse me for a second. The matter, okay. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rules in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision are requested being described in each application, and we'll limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing must be sworn testimony. Anyone speaking to a matter must first be sworn in. Be advised that comparative assessments of properties are not considered as evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions based on the evidence heard and issues written orders that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to the application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Assessment Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to an application for exemption from taxation. Should a party wish to appeal, information on do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, so I will confirm the points of appeal with each property prior to the applicant being sworn in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by any questions the applicant may have, and the applicant's testimony followed by any questions. Each side will be given an opportunity to summarize if they wish to do so. Once all the evidence upon an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private to make its decisions. We receive the board's order by receipt mail as soon as possible. All information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of a public record. And today we'll be hearing items 1 through 8. And Mr. Lynn, you can please swear in the parties.
Madam Assessor, please state your full name.
My name is Svetlana Shabo.
Confirm that the evidence you're about taking with this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And Mr. Story, please stand and please state your full name.
Jared Story.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, our first property is item 1 on the agenda. It's no address at Ranchi Boulevard. Ms. Slabo, you can go on with your evidence when you're ready.
File number 22-2417. Roll number 060613240000. Located at Provincial Boulevard. Owner is 75069 Manitoba Limited. We are valuing the property as a stand of January 1st, 2023, based on the economic condition April 1st, 2021. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021 427,000, and that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is vacant land with area of 6,771 square feet. The subject property picture presented on page 2. It's a rectangle shape of land. On page number 3, we can see more subject property picture. It's located facing Provincia Boulevard. On page number 3, number 4, more air photos. On page number 5, this subject property zoned C2 commercial community. This district is intended to accommodate more intensive commercial size that do not have a local neighborhood orientation. The district is intended to include attractive commercial, institutional, recreational, and service facilities needed to support surrounding neighborhood and broad community. On page number 6, I presented repeat pair sale analysis of 8 resales. Let's look resale number 1, 775 Henderson Highway. First time was sale in 2016. Resale was in 2018. Difference in price. Resale price was 44.62%. Number of months between sale was 25. So percentage change per month, 1.78%. When we look on all my 8 comparables, average percent change per month, 1.85%. In media change per month, 1.59%. This repeat sale analysis showed that price of land increased each month at least 1.85%. On page number 7, I presented another resale analysis for specific close to the subject property. We can see 921 St. Mary Road, 984 St. Mary Road, 588 Desmereau Street, and 481 St. Anne Road. These two for resale showed that average percentage per month close to the subject property neighborhood, 1.94%. In media change per month, 1.96%. So it's much higher than across the city. On page number 8, subject property land valuation. Subject property located at Central St. Boniface. Land influence, it's bus road, bus stop, external corner, heavy traffic. And we assess subject property at $63.06 per square foot. On same page number 8, I presented 5 comparables, land sale comparables. All land sale comparables number 1 on Desiree Mall. It's around 5,000 square feet, was sold in 2019 for $16.01 per square foot. My comparables number 2 on 316 Desmereau Street. It's around 20,000 square feet, was sold in March 2021, close to the subject reference date, for $16.24. Another comparable for 588 Desmereau Street was sold in 2016 for $61.87. Same land was sold in 2017 for $77.08. 481 St. Anne's Road, it's around 4,500 square feet, sale in 2018 for $61.69. Same land was sold in 2019 September for $80.41. My five comparables, average or media, $65.22 per square foot. In media, $61.78 per square foot. We have assessed subject property at $63 $63.06 per square foot. It's fair in support by my evidence. On page number 10, I presented 2023 property assessment notice, what we sent to the owner. On page 11, land sale comparables map, red dot on my map, it's Google map, showed subject property. You can see all my comparables, same neighborhood, very close to the subject property. Let's look each one by one. On page number 12, we have Desmarais Street, sold 2019 for $16.01. On page number 13, 316 Desmarais sold March 21st for $16.24. It's around 20,000 square feet. On page number 14, to sale of 588 Desmarais Road sold for $61.87 in 2017 for $67.08. And on page number 15, another to sell. It's very close to the subject property size for sold last sale in 2019 for $80.41. Immediate assess property, it's $63.06. It's fair based on evidence in this report. It is assessor opinion that the subject property, market value of subject properties of April 1st, 2021, 427,000, and that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Story, any questions?
No, but just as a point of clarity, as per our submission, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
We are requesting, you'll see that we have 4 properties today with their ancillary subservient parking lots.
Right.
So we are requesting confirmation on the vacant commercial for all of these lands as they serve the main holding. So we are going to request that the value of those lands be subtracted so as to not be double counted in the income approach. So for all of the lands that we're dealing with today, we're going to ask for confirmation and ask that value, that assessed value, be removed as has historically been done in the main holding. So I'll say that once, but that being said, all of the vacant commercials as per our submission, we are requesting 54 ones on, and then we'll discuss the larger the single economic unit for the main holdings. So we are requesting confirmation.
You'll get our questions when we get to the second property.
Perfect.
Then.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so
So simply requesting confirmation on this file as well as the other ancillary parking files as per our submission under 54(1) of the Act.
okay, and okay, I don't have any questions on that. I see where you're going. I'll just ask my panel members if anybody or the assessor has any questions at this point then of you, because I know we're going this way.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Michelle, do you have any questions right now that you want to ask Mr. Story on the basis of what he has just announced to us?
No
Diane,
questions.
you mean?
Okay,
No, great. No, okay. No questions for me either.
Ms. Mercy, do you have any questions?
Okay, so we're regarding the building itself, we're not going to concern ourselves with that right now until the next
Yeah.
property. Okay, then I don't have any questions.
Okay, I guess my only question is, so I guess your submission is always going to be in all of them, that the parking area that you're agreeing with the assessment on is an integral part of the business that is adjacent to it.
Yes. If that was single economic unit, yes.
Okay, so then your argument has to be that it's going to have to be that if they sold that lot for this amount, that the property next to it would not be viable.
It would have to be included in.
No, it would not be viable, I think.
Well, it would be, so if we just zoom out for a second, the rents that are achieved in the main holding are contingent on the parking availability at the subservient lot. Now, these lots could very easily be for part of the same role, and then we wouldn't be having this discussion. And
Okay,
yeah,
I'll see my questions till when we get to
okay,
okay.
perfect.
Okay. Okay, well, then go on with the next property, ad number 2 at 222 Provenci Boulevard.
File number 22-2415. Roll number 060613250000. Location is 222 Provincia Boulevard. The owner is 75069 Manitoba Limited. We are valuing the property as a stand of January 1st, 2021, based on the economic condition April 1st, 2021, stands of January 1st, 2023, and based on economic condition as April 1st, 2021. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on the evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021, $2,516,000, and that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is office building built original 1939 with leasable area of 15,238 square feet, located in central St. Boniface. On page number 2, the subject property has existing lease started in 2017, month by month, with area 14,000 square feet at $13.37 per square foot. Further, you can see subject property air photos. It's rectangle shape of land site. On page number 3, more air photo of subject property. Subject property also located in C2 commercial community. On page number 5, we can see parking category 18. Office research institution studio. They need 1 parking space for each 750 square feet of area, but not less than 2 spaces with 4 tenants. And we can see subject property has only 1 tenant. On page number 6, income evaluation, we assess space 15,338 square feet and $13.12. We did apply vacancy loss 6%, expenses 3%, shortfall for vacancy $8 per square foot. Our capitalization rate 7%. How we came across estimate value of $2,516,000. Below we can see 6 rent comparables. My rent comparables on first and second 194 Provincia Boulevard, rent size 2020 between $12 and $13 per square foot. Another set comparables of 136 Provincia Boulevard, rent was in 2017 between $13.26 and $13.80. In my comparables, 169 Marion Street, it's 2-floor building like subject property. It's rent for $14 per square foot, size 2016-18. On page number 11, I have presented income expense Miller reported to us. Let's look. On page number 18, let's look specific on my set comparables. Comparables of 194 Provincia Boulevard 2-floor buildings, rent between $12.88 and $13.07. Set comparables on page number 19, 130 cents Provincia Boulevard. It's 1 level building, 2 rents for $13.26 and $13.60. My comparables on 169 Marian Street, first 200 at second floor was rent for $14 in 2016, and 100 units rent in 2018 for $14.01. And we did assess subject property at $13.20. It's fair. Based on evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021, $2,516,000, and that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Story, any questions?
Yes, thank you, sir. Mr. Assessor, have you visited this property?
Mr. Chairman, although I have not inspected the subject property and able to completely accurately describe it based on the data we have on file.
Okay, but just to be clear, you have not visited the property?
No.
Okay, now I notice here that you're using a leasable area, or I guess I should ask first, are all of these inputs model derived or any of them overwritten, or is this entire assessment model generated?
Yes.
It is, okay, fair enough. So when reviewing this file for the purpose of this exercise, did you review the actual submission of the owner?
Yes, I posted income expense mailer, and on my page number 2, we can see subject property lease existing.
Okay, and great. So then you notice then that the owner is reporting that 14,000 square feet are leased. Is that correct?
Correct.
But you've used 15,338.
Correct.
Do you have any sense of what might give rise to that delta?
We can see that rent and $13.37, what they reported. 1 second. If we multiply 40,000, multiply by $13.37, it will be 187,000. And we assess subject property with bigger 15,338 at $13.20. It's our potential rent at 201,000. Very good, very close what's provided to us.
Okay, but with respect, the question is, what gives rise to that extra 1,338 square feet? Because if all of these inputs affect the output of the model, I don't think it's enough to simply say the potential net market rent is in order. I'm trying to determine.
Okay, please open page number 1 of my submission. We can see basement area 1.5 thousand square feet. The subject property 2-floor building has basement.
Right.
What
Okay.
we extra assessment for us.
So you're suggesting that the basement is leasable area, but you have not.
I suggest it's a part of subject property.
No, you're suggesting here that it's leasable, but you haven't visited it, correct?
It's exist. If basement not exist, all mechanical room will be on main floor. Take a leasable area out. And when lease assigned, usually upper floor, 14,000 square feet, but complement its basement area.
Okay, but we can agree
Still
that
there.
the leasable area is indeed 14,000 square feet as per the owner's submission, correct?
Reported by the owners, yes, correct.
Okay. Okay, now in terms of page 1, again, outdoor parking, you're saying that there are 26 stalls. Can you tell me where that number comes from? How did you determine that there are 26 stalls?
Yeah, good point. It's mistake. It should be.
Okay.
We have parking stalls.
Okay, that's fine. It is a mistake.
Mhm.
That's fine.
Mistake.
Okay. Okay. On page 2, we note that the lease was renewed, and it was renewed on a month-to-month basis.
Correct.
Now, that is effectively a month-to-month lease is about one step above vacant space to an owner. So do you think that that would be tantamount to more risk to an owner knowing that their lease renewal is on a month-to-month basis?
Subject property lease month-to-month base until 2020. Okay, I don't have new lease exist. I don't know.
You don't know. Okay, that's fine. Now, just very quickly on page 3, you have these overhead photos, and they're similar to mine. But if I draw your attention, Mr. Chair, page 3 of the assessor brief, the property that we asked to be confirmed is on the left here. That's the ancillary parking, and then on the right is the area where the evidence is erroneously stating that there are 26 spots. There are in fact 34 or 35 spots between the two, and they are treated as one economic unit. Okay, so I'll just continue on now. Ms. Schabel, in the past, has it been the position of the department that ancillary or subservient parking not be removed from the value of a main holding so as to not double count it? Am I mistaken in understanding that was the historical position?
Our position that we have two separate roll numbers.
Oh, okay. All right. Disagree on that. Now, again, on page 6, all of these inputs are model derived. Do you have anything to support, anything in evidence besides this table to support your capitalization rate of 7%?
Let's open page number 8.
Okay.
We have capitalization rate summary table. We can see that Colliers assess office building suburban area from 6 to 6.75. CBRE take a range from 7% to 7.5, and Cushman and Wakefield 6.75 to 7.75. We did apply 7%. It's inside this range.
Okay.
It's fair.
Okay. So in terms of your evidence is based on the broker's reports. Now, what you've submitted here, though, is that the city of Winnipeg is suggesting cap rates ought to fall between 5.6 and 6.9. And am I clear in reading this that there's no differentiation between what we'll call suburban A, so the higher quality assets, and suburban B, the lower quality assets? Is that fair to say?
It is 5.6 to 6.9. It's a 16th percentile. You can see on top 20 percentile. It's more curve happened between 20 percentile and 80 percentile. So modular property between 5.6 to 6.9.
I understand that. My question
is, in downtown will be much higher from 6 to 6.75.
Yes, I understand that, but we're not in the downtown. My question, to reiterate, is you're not making a distinction between suburban A and suburban B, but you're relying on the brokers, and they have indeed made a distinction between what we'll call A class and B class. Is that correct?
That's correct. You can see Colliers didn't support a suburban 8 building, 6 to 6.7.
Okay.
CBRE have distinguished more lower, 6.5 for suburban A and 7. So our 7% in CITES range is supported by outside sources.
Okay, so in terms of your suburban A and suburban B, which are not differentiated from one another, do you have any calculations to support this? Do you have anything that the board, the panel, or the ratepayer can review in order to determine if this is appropriate or not? Are there calculations? Do we have any sense of the data set that was included? Do we know how many properties built before 1940 were included in your study? Do you have any information regarding this study that led us to this 5.6 to 6.9 submitted into evidence here today for the purpose of this assignment?
We can see on top of our summary sheet, direct capitalization method in use to convert a property single area of income into an indication of value by dividing its estimate net operating income by an appropriate capitalization rate. Capitalization rate can be derived from the property that have sold by dividing its property net operating income by its sale price. For the 2023 general assessment, April 1st, 2021 reference date, capitalization rate were derived from model generated estimates of net operating income in sale price that were time adjusted to April 1st, 2021. The assessed value produced by the application of TUS model generated capitalization rate were compared to the sale price and assessment to sale price ratio were calculated. This resulting ratio statistic for the assessment taxation department income producing models satisfy the standards certified in set forth in the standard on ratio study approved by April 1st, 2013, published by the International Association of Assessing Officers.
Okay, I understand.
Assessment in taxation capitalization.
Okay, you know what? I think we can all read that.
We can read that. My question, Mr. Assessor, is do you have any calculations or any indication of the data that was included in your model to determine that these cap rates you've applied today for the balance of this docket are appropriate? Do you have any calculations for us to look at submitted evidence?
Capitalization were derived from model generated estimated net operating income in all sales price that were time adjusted to April 1st, 2021. It will be between April 1st, 2018, not April, May 2018 to April 1st, 2021. All sale happened in this time.
Michelle, well, if you could answer questions, it'd be better than just reading things. But I think we all know the evidence that we have before us is the evidence that's here. I think Mr. Story knows that too.
Thank you.
Mr. Story, we get that, okay? And we'll
let
let you bring your argument, but you're basically just wasting 3 minutes' time.
Nope, that's
Okay.
fine. I will proceed. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Okay, and then just very quickly, not to belabor this, Mr. Chair, but on page 11, Ms. Scheibel, of the owner's submission, you do see that they are reporting 35 stalls, and that is the stall count of the, what I'm calling the ancillary parcel and the main holding. Can we agree on that?
I have to confirm it. 35. Okay.
Okay, and I think those are my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay.
If it's, I can ask question. If it's 35 stall and we have a previous subject property, 26 stalls, they include in this report or not?
Well, right now, right now, Mr. Story is asking you questions, Ms. Scheibel.
Okay.
You'll have an opportunity to ask him questions when he gives his evidence after, if you have any at that point. Okay. You're finished asking questions?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Ms. Knight, do you have any questions?
I do not. No.
Mr. Mansky, do you have any questions?
Yes, so the 26 parking stalls that you had attributed to this property. So would the rent that the owner pays on this property, or that the tenant pays on this property, would it include the use of those stalls on the lot?
We see that no report of parking charge exist. If you open my page number 11 reported to us, they reported rent, but I don't see any parking income reported to us.
Okay, and then all the comparables that you had used as well, would that have included use of parking lots? And any of those?
We can see on air photos, for example, on page number 18, 194 Provincia Boulevard, building in front and parking stall rear behind building. On page number 19, we can see another one floor building with parking behind building. And on page number 20, 169 Marion Street, we can see parking lot behind building also. So all this free set of comparables has parking spot.
Okay. I just want to. So on page 3, building is 222 Provencher that we see in the center there.
Mhm.
Now, there's two lots on each adjacent side. So what is included in for this building for that part of those parking lots? Is it both sides or is it just the one side on the left?
It's included, 1 second. Yeah.
So I guess what you thought was the 26 stalls would have been on that
Okay.
west lot only?
Correct. It will be another side of building. It's parking lot include. If previous property on corner, it's separate separate roll number. Second going subject property plus parking lot on. If you're looking on my photo from the right.
Right. So when we're looking at this item number 222 Provencher, we're including the land underneath the building and the land over to the east, correct?
Correct. So outdoor parking 26, outdoor parking belong to subject property. Correct. Sorry, it's correct. Not outdoor parking we have recorded.
And the one to the west is a separate roll number.
Correct.
Okay, no further question.
Okay,
Sorry,
so,
I have a further question to that then.
yeah,
So are you saying then that only the 11 spots to the east of the building is included in this value? Not 26 spots or whatever you had said originally?
Our record show 26 spot on east side of building.
Okay. And how would you park 26 cars in that little area? That's all my questions.
Yeah, it's only one.
okay, just to get it clear then, so looking at your diagram, the lot on the right is included, and the lot on the left is the one with a separate roll number.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, next question. In the previous cycle, were both lots, did the lot on the left have a separate roll number and a separate taxation amount payable?
Correct. Yeah, you're right. Count of a parking stall should be changed in our record. It's a 13 parking spot instead of 26. I will update our records.
Okay, so you answered Ms. Knight's question, but I guess the question I asked you was, I haven't got an answer for that yet.
Could you please repeat questions?
The question I had was, in the previous cycle, for this taxation period, was the lot on the left under a separate roll number with a separate tax amount payable?
Correct. It was separate roll.
It was separate last, so it's always been separate? This is not a new
Correct.
cycle?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Story.
One quick matter, Mr. Chair, this will carry forth to the entirety of the docket, but I do have some rebuttal based on the position that the ancillary lots ought to be separately assessed. I've submitted it into rebuttal. I can go through it very quickly.
Okay. No, I think that's a good time. Okay. Just a minute.
I mean, I have to share with, if we can take a 2-minute recess.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
I can leave now.
Yeah, go ahead. You got 2 minutes. I will go on with that.
You're live.
Okay. Story, you proceed.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I've submitted here, and again, I will ask that this carry forward to all the properties on our docket, as I believe they were all scheduled together because they have the same issue, and this speaks to that very issue. So this is Board Order A00320. It is a municipal Board of Manitoba order. And I'll just direct you to page 6 of the PDF. Now, this is speaking to this precise issue of ancillary parking, subservient parking to a main holding forming one single economic unit under the heading hydro lot. So I'll sort of explain in greater detail here, but there's a business at 665 Stafford, and it has a parking lot that serves it on a different role. Now there's some language about 1/3 or 2/3, and the reason for that is there's a hydro transmission line on this property composing or it takes up 1/3 of the property. So the area that is actually used for parking has been deducted. So I'll just read it very quickly. The owner's agent, as the board understands, submits that the hydro lot and the property at 665 Stafford Street, for all intents and purposes, is one business entity, and together produces the income stream on the basis of which 665 Stafford has been assessed. He argues that the hydro lot is already assessed once in the hands of the city, and in respect of which the owner is paying taxes pursuant to the hydro lease. To not permit the assessed value of the hydro lot to be deducted from the income-based assessment of the property at 665 Stafford would be tantamount to assessing the lot twice. The board agrees in part with the position. The property at 665 Stafford cannot be viewed in isolation. The parking is essential to and an integral part of the business carried on at 665 Stafford. So that is the guiding decision that we're using. It has always been our position that these properties, particularly suburban office, where the parking lot is not rented out on a monthly or casual basis, it does serve the main holding. The rents, the income stream that is being assessed in the main holding is contingent and tended by that parking. So to parcel it off under a separate role would be tantamount to double counting it as per this decision. So I wanted to bring that to the board's attention and give greater clarity to our position on all the files that we'll be reviewing today. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and I thank you.
And that is your rebuttal.
Yes.
Michelle, any questions? You must be on mute. We can't hear you.
Just regard rebuttal. 665 Stafford Street is neighborhood shopping center, correct?
It's immaterial as to the use. The point is that it is it's a question of the methodology of double counting parking that serves the main holding. It's immaterial as to what the use is of the main holding, whether it's office or shopping. It's that doesn't have any bearing on the actual methodology that ought to be applied from a valuation perspective.
And by law, subject property has parking lots, and to operate need to at least 750 square feet per stall or 2 stall per tenants. It's correct?
So just so I understand you, the zoning requirements that you've submitted suggest that an office property requires 750 or 1 stall or 2 stalls per 750 square feet. One
2 stalls per tenant.
And 2 stall per tenants. Yes.
Right. Okay. And I think once we've corrected the calculation, you see that our main holding doesn't actually fit that. We don't have the 21 stalls, do we?
If we can see how it is a parking lot located, but if you if you see a look on property on east, close to the subject property, if put like under diagonal, it will be same parking lot for subject for property close to the subject property, 230 Provincia. It has a little bit different.
Michelle, you're asking questions right now. I'm not giving evidence.
Okay, my evidence that subject property.
No, you're asking questions right now. Excuse me. You're asking questions right now.
26
You're not giving
parking
evidence.
spot. If we divide 14,000 for 750, let's try. Where's my- subject property have 26 parking spot. Our lease 14,000 square feet. We divide for 730 square feet. It's 19 parking spot. We have 26. It's enough to run this office building.
Not have 26 parking spots.
Shelby, you corrected yourself before and said there were only 13.
I take my, because if you look on property clause, it's different arrangement of parking spot. You can put 26 spot for subject property. It's up to owner how he use his parking spots.
I have to object.
Utilize, but but property on the.
Okay, when you're asking questions, okay, please keep to asking questions, and I'll let you give your evidence after.
Okay.
Are you finished asking questions? Ms. Shago?
No questions.
No more questions? Okay. Ms. Knight, do you have any questions
I
based on?
just have one, the very last sentence highlighted there. However, the board does not agree that the entire assessed value of that lot is deductible. Would that still be in this case here?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, I mentioned briefly here, if you look at the this property, there's a hydro transmission line that is actually fenced off, and that's 1/3 of the property. So it seems complicated, but if you sort of look at it, the parking area, which encompasses 2/3 of the assessed value of that role, was deducted from the main holding, and the 1/3 that remains is actually occupied by a hydro transmission tower, so it's not used.
Oh, okay,
that's
okay,
cool.
now I understand. All right,
Perfect.
thank you.
Thank you.
So, Rich, do you have any questions?
I do not know.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions.
Sure.
Okay, first of all, so there's 2 lots already. One is included.
Correct.
The one on the right, how many spots are there in that one already?
There's 36 stalls across both of this.
How many spots are on the right that is included?
It's included in the assessment.
It's included in the assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the other one isn't. One we're talking about. We have 2
Right.
lots here.
Well, I think it is 12 to 14.
Well, I'd like to know, because we know that you have to have 19, according, if you have one for every 750 square feet,
Right,
okay, you need about 19 spots,
right.
okay? So I want to know, because you have excess land here, and you're claiming the whole thing should be deducted, and I don't know if that's necessarily the case, okay? So, okay, so I want to know how many spots there are that are included. I think it's very important. And I want to know the exact number, because it's going to make a huge amount of difference if we were to give you what you're asking for.
13 stalls.
So you're
13 stalls that are included.
you know that for sure? You have that? Because that's an evidence and that's your sworn testimony?
Will be.
No. Is that your sworn testimony? There's 13 stalls? I don't want to serve, I want you to say there are 13 stalls.
I don't have it broken down by.
Well, I think it's necessary because you're making an application right now. And with what you're asking for, I think it's
Right.
necessary to have information precisely.
Okay. That's
Okay.
fair enough. And I fully appreciate that. What's reported by the owner, which I believe to be true upon visiting the site, is that there are 36 stalls servicing this property.
Okay.
I think it's 13 or 14 included in the actual main roll.
Okay.
The balance is on the
Okay.
other parts.
Okay, so you're saying 13 or 14, so I'm going to need your 14,
Okay.
okay?
Fair enough.
And that means then you need approximately another 5. And you got, on the other side, you obviously have
22 or something.
22 or so. So you got way more.
Well, okay, that's by the zoning requirements.
I know.
But in terms of what the tenants require, it's the amount of parking that is used here is required to
Okay.
attend that tenant. Yeah,
And I'd like to see the lease that indicates
okay.
that all these
Sure.
spots are included.
I don't
Yeah.
have police in evidence,
Well,
but I
I
do
know.
have this submission showing that the parking is indeed included.
Well, I know, but I think that it'd be nice to prove it with
Okay,
hard
that's fine.
evidence, not surmising. You know, because
Sure.
in all fairness, you're an agent.
Yep.
You get information, which may or may not be correct. We don't know. We have to rely on it. You are sorry to tell the truth, and I know you do so to the best of your ability.
Yes,
But I think that when there's hard evidence that would be available that would establish what you're asking for, it'd be nice to have it.
yeah.
That's
So
all I'm
we-
saying.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we don't typically submit leases. Sometimes they have.
Well, even the portions of it.
Sure, yeah, no,
You know,
that's a fair comment, and I
You know.
will take that back and make a note of it that we do include that, especially for this type of situation. I think that's a fair comment, for sure. I appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we'll let you go on with your main submission now.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, so once again, we are at 222 Provence. I visited this property on it was September 26th or 27th. It's the last week of September, and I visited specifically for the purpose of this exercise today. The building has 14,000 square feet of leasable area. It does have a basement, but I will suggest to you the basement is not leasable. It is used for storage. It is in objectively inferior condition. I have photos that we'll go through. Again, 1939, the city has applied a variant age of 1960. We don't disagree with that. It does have a very 1960, let's say, a style in the interior. So we're not disputing that. I have photos now. We've all looked at the parking now. So again, fairly dated finishes, standard quality office and common areas. The basement is not rentable. It is being used as what would best be described as a social services property. And again, they are overholding on their lease on a month-to-month basis. Much of this is due, of course, to the pandemic. There are questions in many corners of the office market as to what space requirements will be going forward as work from home clearly has become more prevalent. And there are some questions of how much space will be required for tenants going forward. Now, the main holding was purchased with the ancillary parking. In addition, the tenants use some of the parking during the week. Now, look at my photo here on the right side of the property adjacent is actually a church property. So they have services on Sunday and then Thursday evenings. So our property is able to use some of that space on a general kind of agreement with the owner of the adjacent property that they may use some of those stalls if need be during the 9 to 5 hours Monday through Friday, and then the church occasionally can use some of their parking on Sunday. So it's not an ideal agreement, but they make it work. But all this to say that the parking that they have here is absolutely needed to service the tent in this property. Again, the parking lot at roll number 0606132400 is assessed at $427,000, and in our approach we have deducted it from the value of the main hole, and as we've discussed, it is zoned to C2. It's fine. If you follow me, please, then to page on page 12, just go over this very quickly. You're all aware of our argument on the non-recoverables. You have all been provided with our non-recoverable expense study. Now, I can go into it in great detail, Mr. Chair. Okay, or I can just do the overview, but effectively, non-recoverables from our perspective.
I think we've all.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
You're aware.
Non-recoverable.
Perfect. Yeah. So you're
I
aware.
don't think that everybody's made decisions on them.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything you can say. It's going to change anybody's mind is already.
Fair enough.
First of all, many times before.
If I may make one quick comment, though, that
Okay.
just to point out, the cap rates in our study do include the 5%. So if for any reason any members of the panel are not persuaded to include the 5%, then we do ask that a corresponding adjustment to the cap rate be made. And in all cases here, I've actually provided an alternative calculation should you require it. So please do let me know if you would like that calculation with the 3% with an adjustment of 25 basis points to the cap rate. Should you not believe that the 5% is appropriate? So I have included that for you.
And not knowing what their final decision is going to be, if you want to submit that.
Sure.
I'm not telling you that we're accepting it,
Sure.
but it might help our arithmetic later on.
Absolutely.
If we decide to go down.
So I'll give you this one verbally, but in the owner occupied properties, it is actually on the final page of the document.
Okay.
It's included. So we have included the vacancy at 6% is that market from what we believe. We think that's okay. We've not adjusted it for this property. We have used a leasable area of 14,000 square feet as reported. That is what is leasable. That is what is being leased. And we have used the actual market rent. The market rent is at $13.34 per square foot, giving us an annual contract rent of $186,760. And again, that's applied to 14,000 square feet. Our management or non-recoverable and structural allowance is at 7%. Our capitalization rate is 7.25%. Now, you've also been provided with the Altus Group office cap study. I don't know if you've all heard this, if you'd like me to go through it or just
No, we've all seen your cap study.
Okay, perfect. So then you're aware that our sorry, it's industrial here. For suburban office, we're suggesting that cap rates ought to range between 6.5 to 7.5. We've supported this with compression over previous cycles, a review of the broker's reports, as well as our own sales. So that's all here in this document, and I'll leave it for you to peruse at your leisure. I know that you've all heard it before, but we are suggesting for all the properties on this document that a range ought to be between 6.5% and 7.5%. But again, that includes the 5%. Removing the 5% has the effect of adjusting the cap rate between 30 and 40 basis points. Typically, in my calculations today, I've adjusted it by 25 basis points. Again, if you do elect to remove the 5%. So with all of that being said, our income value with a 7.25 capitalization rate on the subject property is $2,159,489. With a downward adjustment to remove the ancillary parking at an assessed value of $427,000, leads us to an overall market value of $1,732,489. So that is including the full 7% as an erosion to the effective gross income. Now, if you accept the 3% non-recoverable is appropriate here, then we would adjust the cap rate to 7.5, and that brings our value to $1,754,145, and that, of course, is rounded to $1,754,000. Both are within range, and both would be considered acceptable. Now,
Okay, I just asked you the question for one.
sure.
So what would your NOI be if you remove the?
Great question. You know what? I don't have that here because I just calculated on.
I'd like you to calculate for us and give it to us.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, that's fine.
but you don't have to do it right this second.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Actually, you can do it right now if you'd like.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure. Okay, so. That would be 131. Oh, wait, no, sorry. No, I have to do this a different way. My mistake. Going backwards here. I'll do that break if you don't mind. Thank you. Okay, on page 15, I have our photos. Again, these are my own photos. I was there September 26th. And you can see it's a standard office finish. Many small spaces, dated finishes. It is, of course, on 2 floors. There's not an elevator, but there is a lift, a small lift, and that's required for government tenants to be within a certain code. Page 20, you can start to see the condition of the basement, and we will suggest that it is being used for storage of paper goods, you might say. And it is in objectively inferior condition. And those photos go to page 22. Yeah. So you can have a look at those. The balance of the brief is effectively the owner's submission. But we do note again that the parking that's included here, they're saying 35 stalls, and again, that's between the two. So it is indeed treated as a single economic unit by the owner. And I think we do notice that they report a minor impact from COVID, and just very quickly, I've included the separately assessed parcel, just to show where it is on page 29. And I think that concludes my presentation, and I thank you.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
Yes, please. Let's open page number 21 and 22. We can see that as a basement used like storage area, correct?
Yeah, they're storing boxes and paper goods, but it would not be considered leasable. You notice that there's no windows. You notice asbestos markings on the pipes, and there would be, you would not consider this a leasable area, but the tenant is able to use it for storing paper goods as part of the lease. Yes.
So it's just extra unity for tenants to use for his lease on 14,000 square feet, correct?
Yeah, it's included in the lease. I would suggest that it doesn't have much contribution outside of providing some storage space for the tenant. That's correct.
Thank you. Let's open page 25 of your agent brief.
Sorry, page 25.
Yes, correct.
Okay, yeah.
We can see that net operating income of around 134,000, correct?
The net operating income?
Yes, net income, yeah.
The net income.
NOI.
Yeah, the bottom line, yeah.
If you look on line 7920, it's mortgage payment around 26,000, correct?
Yeah.
So we have to put together 137,000 and 36,000 to show what net operating income reported to us. It will be around 164,000, correct?
No, but that's not the methodology that we use to assess properties. Because if you did that, you're not including any vacancy, you're not including any. This income statement gives us a sense of the rent to be certain, but to simply look at the bottom line and remove mortgage payments, that would not be using the same methodology that you use to assess this property, correct?
We analyze income statement provided to us, and tenants owner showed 164,000 net operating income reported to us, correct?
Well, I can't tell you what your process is, but my understanding is that you would use the rents here to determine the potential net market income, and then you would apply parameters such as vacancy, structural, and well, it used to be non-recoverables, but now you've eroded that from 5 to 1. So it's a different methodology altogether. So the commercial rent, I agree, you should be looking at what rent it's generating, but you'd be mixing apples and oranges if you were suggesting that this is the statement of accounts that you would use to assess the property, because you use vacancy and you use other allowances, and you can't use cap rate, right? So it's so no, I don't agree with what you're saying.
And just to statement, our income valuation showed 176,000, and reported income expense mailer 164,000. It's very close for my master appraiser. And no further questions.
Mr. Messi, any questions?
No, I do not have any questions.
Ms. Knight, any questions?
I do have a question. On your photo on page 7, I believe it is, that right-hand side parking lot, not the one with the red arrow.
Right.
Do you feel that the parking is that lot is divided in half for the parking being used for the building on the further right-hand side and half being used for this subject property.
Yes, so where the, actually, the, the assessment line is more, well, it's defined on the city's brief, and I
Right.
apologize, there's, at some point, I couldn't pull up the city map, but yes, you're correct, on my page 7, where those cars on the rightmost of that right parking lot,
Right,
those are part of the church, that's part of
okay,
the church, yeah.
okay. So would you think that if this parking lot was realigned to angled parking, they would get more spaces in?
I'm, you know what, I'm not sure, I would be,
Okay.
yeah, I couldn't speak to that, I'm
Okay.
not.
Just asking, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so your evidence then, Michelle will ask you about the basement. So they are able to use that space and they're using it for storage.
It is being used for storage, correct?
And they're not paying anything extra for that, so you're,
It's included in the lease, and I should point out too, that in that basement, and I didn't measure it, but there are systems there, there's a boiler, there's,
understand.
so I don't know that it would typically be considered leasable. I think the assessor said it's there, and it is there. But it's being used for very sort of, it's being used for storage in a very sort of ad hoc way. So it is there for the use of the town. Yeah.
and I've seen other examples where a space like that maybe has a low rental of maybe like $3 a foot.
It could, yeah.
Yeah,
But it doesn't have windows, and that's a,
well, you don't need windows for storage for basement.
no, you don't, but for something to be considered rentable or leasable, I think that it would have to have, based on the condition from what I saw in that basement, I don't think it would be considered.
So you don't think it's leasable for $3 a foot for
No, I
storage?
don't think it would have that sort of contribution, because there's also, again, there's systems down there. And there's, just because there's some shelving doesn't mean that, you know, that there's 1,300 square feet of contribution at $3 or $4 or whatever per square foot.
But you admit, because I know you see a lot of space.
Yeah.
And you've seen a lot of spaces like that do carry a rent of around $3 a foot.
That one would be on the very, very low end of what we see, just based on the condition, based on the fact that it is in very poor condition. The
Okay.
basement is certainly in poor condition.
Now, the whole lot isn't needed for this. So is there any other parking in that lot other than the tenant who is in the main building?
The whole lot, both lots are required for the tenant.
Are you saying that there's no other rent obtained?
Absolutely not. There's no casual renting, there's no monthly renting. All of that space is dedicated to the building of project. It is all being used by that tenant.
Okay. And still waiting for you,
Sure, yeah.
your calculation. You have to give it to us now, but
Okay, yeah.
before we,
That's
Okay.
the story.
okay, that's my questioning. Thank you. I'll make a decision on this and go on with the next property. So just to get things clear then, you're going to want to indicate that the next matter at 205 Bond Street, I guess there's a parking lot that's ancillary to it.
Exactly. For all of these going forward, we talked about the main holding on Regent,
Okay.
and we will ask that bond be confirmed in order to subtract it from the
Okay,
assessment.
so the empty lot, I guess that's our number 3 on the agenda.
I don't have the agenda in front of me, but if it's Bond Street, then yes.
It says 2 Bond Street.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And the next matter is 200 Regent Avenue. Okay, that's what I remember is the Toronto Union Bank building.
It was, yes,
Yeah,
that's correct.
that was my group. It's not like other things that
Yeah.
I haven't been to Toronto for a while. Okay, Michelle, so we're on agenda item then number 4, 200 Regent Avenue West.
File number 22-2448, roll number 090002833300. Location is 200 Regent Avenue West. Owner is Inland Development Limited. We are valuing the property as a stand of January 1st, 2023, based on the economic condition April 1st, 2021. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only, based on the evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021 is $1,226,000, and that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is office building, original built in 1962, on land area of 10,649 square feet, with leasable area of 5,222 square feet. On page number 2, we can see sale happened in December 2020 for $1. Subject property picture located on page number 2. It's northeast of Winnipeg. On page number 3, more air photo of subject property. It's a rectangle shape of land, office building with parkings. On page number 4, Inland Development Limited has 25 Bond Street, vacant land, and 200 Regent Avenue West, subject of office building. They located across over back lane. On page number 5, I presented 9 set of comparables. Let's look into subject property located neighborhood for 402 Melrose. All my comparables very close to subject property. It's range of 400 neighborhood. For example, Rosemary. Same building, close building, 1960 built, lease in 2018 for $20. And you can see building very old, one building only 235 Bonner Avenue number 5, built in 2008. That's why its rent very high, $22 per square foot. My 9 comparables showed median of $19.07. In mean $19.07 and media of $18.81. On rent map comparables below, you can see red dot of subject property. On page number 6, our market income estimation. Our area 5,222 square feet assessed. We use $15.72. With in potential income around 82,000. We apply 6% vacancy, 3% expenses, and shortfall $8 per square foot for vacant space of 6%. Our capitalization rate 5.9%. How we came across estimate value of $1,226,000. On page 11, started income expense mailer provided to us. It's the fully owner occupied building. On page 18, in 2021 was a renovation for $120,000. On page 1912, more photo what was happened with exterior renovation of building. On page 21-22, more permits for renovation was posted. On page number 2, permits of $325,000 for renovation again. So on page 23, start my rent comparables. Let's look on photos of my rent comparables. My first 897 Henderson, built in 1960, one-floor building. Rent in 2018 for $20 per square foot for 2,204 square feet. My next comparables on Henderson Highway 1068 Henderson, building built in 1974, rent start in 2017 for $17.95. On page number 24, Oakland Avenue, rent started, it's old building 76, lease start in 2017 for $18.81. Another comparable for 1215 Henderson, lease started 2017 for $16. On page 25, 235 Bonner Avenue, lease started in 2020, around 4,000 square feet for $22, but it's built in 2008, more younger property. Another set comparables of 836 McLean Avenue, leases start in 2019 between $15.25 to $16.50. Comparables on page number 26, 549 Regent Avenue West, building built in 1979, and leases 2017 for $19.25, lease in 2019 for $25.90. So media of my lease comparables is $18.81. VSS property, it's $15.72. It's fair based on evidence in my report. It's assessor opinion that market value of subject property of April 1st, 2021, $1,226,000, and that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Story.
Thank you, sir. A number of questions you'll be briefed. Ms. Scheibel, have you visited this property?
Although I have not inspected it, the subject property I am able to completely accurately describe it based on the data we have on file.
Okay, and that effective year then is based on data on file, not based on an inspection, is that fair?
Effective years built 1995, because building has several renovation and we usually increase effective years built.
Right. Okay, but that's again, that's based on the permits, not based on an inspection, correct?
On permits, and when we're doing, let's see what when last time did inspected. We have a lot of property, but permit showed. Yes, because it was a bank before, now it's office building. We see a lot of renovation happen to support owner, and now it's office building.
Okay, page 2, you have the sales history. Now, the property on bond, that's also, that transacted on the same day. So the property on bond and the former bank building sold together. Can we agree on that?
Yes, according to our records, if you open my page, sorry, I lost my page of my brief, number 4. I showed that Inland Development Limited owner has vacant land to 5 Bond Street across the subject property right now to 200 Regent Avenue, correct?
Okay, and just so we're clear, that's sold in December of 2020, so fairly close to the reference date, and the total sworn value, the price that they paid was $808,710. Is that correct?
Says it says the sworn value was.
That's
the
consideration.
considerations we owe.
Yeah, the sworn value was
Sale price $1.
The sworn value is what they swear it's worth.
right. That was the actual sale.
The monetary
Okay.
value is a consideration.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Okay. So fair enough, but in terms of the sworn value of 808,710, that's far away from what the department is suggesting at approximately 1.4 million when we include the parking, correct?
The subject property has parking lots on the rear area.
Okay, so now the rent, I've been looked at the rent, we're not disputing that, but just in general, this will speak to something else that I'll get to. None of these rent comparables are in Transcona, are they?
All rents, same neighborhood, 400.
No, they're not in the same neighborhood. In fact, if you look at page 5,
I think 549 Mission Avenue West is in Transcona.
okay,
Okay, hang on. Okay, other than 8 and 9.
Lossmere, Riverdale, okay. Now, okay, I can go on. It's fine now. The cap rate, again, there's nothing to support that outside of the table that we've provided, we've gone over. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so I guess my question is the area where this property is located, it would be an atypical area for professional offices. Is that fair to say?
It's facing Region Avenue. It's very good location for office building.
Okay.
Very good exposure.
Okay. But you haven't visited, correct?
No.
Okay. All right. Now you've included permits here. Now, the permit value on page 18, that's post-reference material, is it not?
Yes, but I try to show that what building property as a stand of January 1st, 2023.
Okay, but the construction value is post-reference and shouldn't be included, correct?
It showed a standard how
How
it's
do you argue that?
stand of April 1st, 2023.
Just want to bring it to
Priorities
attention.
stands.
Okay.
First renovation was done.
Okay, and we've established that it had previously been used as a bank building. So the owner would have to do some work on it in order, at a minimum, to remove the previous branding and reconfigure the property. Is that fair to say?
Correct. That's why I posted all permits was done to transfer bank to office building.
Okay. I think those are my questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marinsky, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Ms. Knight, do you have any questions?
I just have a question. Did you have any other comparables in that 404 or whatever it is, Victoria area?
You can see on my page number 5, 9 comparables.
I see what your comparables you used. I'm asking if there were any others in that area, 404 Victoria West, that you could have used instead of the North Kildonan, East Kildonan properties.
From my comparables, first I took neighborhood close to 400, like subject property. Second,
okay, so this is just a yes or no question.
For lease start date prior to reference date, what best comparables I found.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, we know that we just had a lot, Ms. Scheibel. Is there 2 places to park on this? I'm not sure by your diagrams. We know that there's a lot on Bond Street.
Bond Street, 200 Bond Street, it's across a bike lane, separate property roll number.
Right.
And subject property facing Region Avenue, and we can see it has parking spot behind building and also on west side.
Okay, so you're saying on the west side of the building, there's parking? Yeah.
Yes, so subject property has parking and rear.
Because I'm looking at the west side of the building on your photograph on page 3, and it looks like there is some open space there, but it looks like it's got grass on it.
Correct,
Isn't it a parking lot?
correct, да. Yes, it's grass area.
Okay, so there's no parking on that piece of property.
No,
Is it part of is it owned by a separate? Is it that on the same roll number? The piece to the
200
west?
region, it's the same roll number. It's up to owner how he use his parking spot.
I'm saying though, that piece on the west that's grassed in, is that part of the property we're dealing with? Or is
Correct.
it,
If you
is that
look
another
on page,
property? Or is that another
No.
property?
same
I'm sorry?
property. On page number 3, middle photo showed a purple line. It's part of subject property. Grassland.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Story.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so we are at 200 Regent Avenue West. This is best described as the downtown of old Transcona. We've established here that this property was indeed a TD bank for many years. It was purchased by the current owner for renovation to an office building, effectively. The property sold with the property on bond. And I do note that at the time of sale, the parking lot on bond was specifically for the use of the workers and the visitors to the TD Bank. There's no private rents or monthly or casual rents. It was specifically for the enjoyment of the occupiers and their clients. So the two properties did indeed sell together. The property is one story. It's on the southwest corner of Regent and Bond. It's zoned C2. It is, and I've been there twice for the purpose of this exercise. I walked through the property with the owner, discussed it with him, and then had a general walk around the neighborhood. I haven't been to Transcona for some time either, so I want to sort of reacclimatize myself for the purpose of coming here today. The property was originally built in 1962. The city has applied a variant age of 1995. There's 5,222 square feet of leasable area with 3,979 square feet on the main floor and 1,243 square feet of mezzanine area. Again, the property, the purchase price that we had here was $899. And again, it did include the separately assessed parking lot. Now, $899, I believe it was actually slightly lower than that, but that's fine. It was just a touch south of $900,000. And we do argue that the two parcels form a single economic unit. Mr. Chair, you asked about the parking at the rear. So this is typical of a bank building. You have about 6 stalls. You can see where the stall is here, and there's about 6 stalls
Which
right up
page are
against
you
the building.
looking on? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's page 8 of my brief.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. And then you've rightly pointed out that there is a grass side yard next to the property, and there are about 4 stalls that could be used in there as well. So in total, without Bond Street, we have about 10 stalls, though Bond Street is used exclusively for the owner of the former bank building. I just included a photo here on page 8 that it's customer parking only for when it was the bank, and it's always been treated as such. It's always been treated as a single economic unit. Okay, so in terms of the income approach, it is owner occupied. They did do some work in there, to be certain, and I reviewed it. So I looked to Regent. I have a number of rental comps here. The average of them being $18.03 with a median of $19.25. So we've actually applied a rent of $20 per foot to the $3,979 and a half rent to the mezzanine, which is typical, resulting in an overall net market rent of $17.62. which is calculated as $92,010 as a market rent per annum. And I believe this is actually slightly higher than the assessor. So I'll continue on here. Shortfall does not appear to be in dispute at $8 per foot. You've heard our position on non-recoverables. The cap rate, again, we do, based on our study, we do submit that suburban office should typically be applied a cap rate of 6.5 to 7.5. Now, we do note that, this property is somewhat reliant on that secondary, that ancillary parking. And it is in an area that does not typically have professional offices. It's across from the Silver Spike Saloon. It's not in an area where there are a number of offices, but we have not made that adjustment. We've simply pointed that out here, and we've used 6.5%, which is considered to be on the low end of suburban office. So with all of that taken into consideration, my workup is on page 14. Our NOI, Mr. Chair, is 77,929, capitalized with a 6.5% cap rate, with a downward adjustment to remove the parking lot assessment, brings us to a value of $1,034,901. And so we do submit that this office property, inclusive of its, with making reference to the fact that it does have that parking on bond, should not exceed $1,035,000. In this case, I did provide the alternative calculation on page 23. So you can see our NOI there, along with the adjusted capitalization rate to account for the differential between the removing the non-recoverables. My appendix has photos of the property. Again, I was in there in the last week of September, and then once afterward to walk around the area. It's in nice shape. We're being optimistic about the rents. We think we've used a higher rent in the city, so that should be fine. Page 21 does show the listing. We see that the property details indeed include the Bond Street parking lot, and they were sold and packaged together. We see also that the initial asking price was $970, and it was subsequently reduced to $899. I think the final value is about $878. So with all that taken into consideration, we think that the value of $1,035,000 is supported, if not slightly optimistic, but we do ask that the board adjust the value to, again, $1,035,000. And I'm open for questions, and I thank you.
Should I move?
Yes, please. Let's open page 12 of agent brief. And we look in specific the least comparables information. Everyone with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Agent didn't provide street number, so I cannot verify them, correct?
Yeah, so typically we discuss these properties with the assessors when we can, and I apologize for not sending it to you, but we didn't have a chance to discuss. So, but just to be very clear, we're actually applying a higher rent than yours. So I guess we can take that for what it's worth. But no, it does not have the street numbers. But had we discussed it, I would be more than happy to provide those with you or to you.
It is true that your rent comparables are step-up rents.
Some of them are stepped, yeah. In instances where they're stepped, under the column that says stepped rent, if there's a Y there, it says yes, and those are stepped rents. Some of them are indeed, yes.
2 step-up rents were set at the time the leases were signed, weren't they?
The leases, I'm sorry?
2 step-up rents were set at the time the leases were signed, weren't they?
Step-up rents were, well, I'm not sure. I don't have intimate details of all of these lease negotiations. Again, I think we've provided a pretty reasonable picture of rents on Regent. And again, we've adjusted upward to capture the fact that we have a property that's been recently renovated. So we're using a higher rent than you are. So if you're disputing the fact that we're using a higher rent, that's fine. But This is what we provided to you. And again, we're suggesting $20 on the main floor, $10 on the mezzanine.
These leases were signed many years before the reference date, correct?
Nope, they're not signed many years before the reference date. We have rents here as recently as March 1st of 2021 at $10. And that's as close as to the reference date as we can get. So no, that's not true.
So
This is
these leases,
17, 19, 20.
so these leases were negotiated in different market, isn't that right?
So 16 of the 18 rents are on Regent Avenue West. 2 are on Henderson.
So these leases should be upward adjustment for time, correct?
Nope, absolutely not.
And your media of $19.25 without any adjustment already support assessed value less than $16 per square foot, correct?
So I think we're being redundant here, but I'm using a higher rent than the city's model. So are you suggesting we ought to use a lower rent?
My statement that your leases very well supported assessed value of subject property by at
No, because the
$15.72.
issues under contention here are expenses and cap rate. I will reiterate this once again. Our market rent is higher than that which is applied by the city. Our point of contention on this file is the cap rate. Your cap rate is too low, and there's no evidence to support it. And your expenses, in our opinion, are too low.
Have you provide any support evidence for your cap rate?
Yes, I've supplied the entire Altus office cap rate study. And in a separate study, I've supplied our non-recoverable expense study, both of which were created specifically for the purpose of this assessment cycle. And they've been provided to you and to the panel.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Bransky, any questions?
Yeah, you were mentioning that the rent is actually higher than what the city had presented. And you also said their expenses were lower, yours were higher. I just want to clarify that your NOI is 77,929, correct?
My NOI, 77,929. That is correct.
That is also higher than the city's NOI. Aware of that?
Yes, they're at 72,000. So our cap rate, they're using a cap rate of 5.9. We're at 6.5. So yes, you were.
So that is basically the main difference that you're.
That is the ultimate difference in the bottom line. Yeah, correct.
Because their NOI is actually lower too. So.
That's correct. And that's basically because they're using a lower rent than we are. And again, it's owner occupied. So the rent is theoretical in some way. There's not a rent being collected. But having visited the property, seeing the work that they've done there, looking at the comparables in the market, I think it's reasonable to suggest that it might be optimistic, but $20 on the main floor, 10 on the mezzanine seems completely fair, if not, again, optimistic.
Okay, that's no further questions.
Your evidence, I think, was clear to me that the lot on Bond Street and the property itself were sold together.
Absolutely.
Okay. And they had different considerations, and that's why the support value would, but the support value indicated what was in fact paid for it.
Absolutely. The
Okay.
total value, yeah,
And for purposes of land transfer tax, that's what the problems in use.
I suppose.
Yep. Okay. Now, how many spots are there altogether in both the lot and the property itself?
I'd have to count them. I'm not sure. To be honest, off the top of my head.
Okay, so that you don't have to answer that right this second. But I'm sort of thinking of like the situation where you have a property and you have excess land.
Right.
And very often there's an extra assessment for the excess land. And here we might have an assessment for excess parking, because I don't know if you need all that parking to run this business, and we don't know right now. Okay, let me just go on.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from, though.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't know how many spots there are altogether, how many spots are needed?
So on Bond Street, there are 16 stalls.
Yeah.
There are 6 stalls behind the property.
Yep.
Now on that side yard, I haven't seen them parking there. I don't know what the designs they have on that space. So it's, I would say comfortably that there are 26 stalls to this area. And there were people parking there when I was there. So it doesn't seem like they're underutilized from my perspective, but I suppose that's anecdotal, but yeah.
You don't know who's using them.
It's the occupiers, the owners.
You don't know if there's illegally parked cars there though.
Oh,
People might just put their cars there. There's a hotel next door.
that's true. Yeah, I hope they wouldn't. But
There's a lot of street parking actually on
there's
this.
a fair number of street parking.
Yeah, there's a lot of street parking on both Bond and Regent
That's true.
and Melrose.
Yeah, and there's side streets throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, you're right.
So 42 in total,
No, sorry, I'm
I think it's 26.
26. Yeah.
26 in total?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay, I wasn't finished, but go ahead, Diane. And
Oh,
I'll,
okay, sorry, finish up.
go ahead, Diane.
So on your page 22, it
Yes.
talks about how the property at 200 Regent Avenue has 9 parking stalls. And it had an assessed value of 970,000 in 2019. And the lot on 205 Bond Street has 16 stalls and it had an assessed value of 124. Is that correct?
Oh, I see. Yeah, the assessment. Yeah, you're correct. See the assessment now.
So there's 9 stalls at that current property as itself and 16
Right.
stalls in the other, and the 16 stalls could be sold and another building put on there because it's a separate role, correct?
Well, I don't know that another building could be put on there.
Could be used for a different use.
I suppose it could be, yeah, and you're right, I correct myself, I said 26 stalls, but.
25.
25, yeah.
So you estimated,
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
But no, I see what you're saying, but I think that parking lot and the reason why they were sold together is because they've traditionally functioned as one economic unit. They continue to function as one economic unit. And if you were to, let's say, develop just theoretically Bond Street, if that's even possible.
Right, if it's even possible at 4,600 square feet.
Yeah, it should be, but it would disadvantage the main holding. So it would not be in the owner's
Okay.
interest to do that necessarily.
Mhm.
So good question, though. Thank you.
But 9 stalls is the allotted amount at 750 one stall per 750 square.
Right, and that's a zoning requirement.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
yeah, and in fact, this property preceded zoning regulations, so it was probably grandfathered anyway. Because I know that I used to deal in that bank at one time,
Right.
and they didn't have there was a building on the lot behind on
Okay.
Bond in those days.
So they purchased it to.
I guess
to
the
service their
interim, it's been
clients.
since I was a customer of that bank,
Right,
which is long time ago.
right. But
We're talking about 1970s.
but they didn't sell it. It's interesting because when they divested of the main holding, they didn't sell the vacant property for some other higher and better use. So it's from our perspective, the highest and best use of the property on Bond is indeed parking.
That may be, but that's another question. My next question though is, what exactly is the business that's there now? Just an office?
It's OEM, so it's a union for engineers.
For engineers?
Yeah.
And how many staff work there?
Oh, that I don't know off the top of my head.
And how many visitors they have?
I'm not sure.
How many parking spots do they need to run this business?
Right, yeah, I'm not sure. I would be speculating to guess.
I know,
Yeah.
but I'm saying, but you're asking for us to separate this lot because it's ancillary needed,
Right,
but you haven't given us any evidence to
Well,
establish that.
okay, but so we're looking at the fee simple interest in the property.
No, I know.
And regardless of who's occupying the property, I would suggest that the highest and best use of Bond Street would be to service the main holding. So
It might not be. It might be if they have enough parking without it, it might be the best use might be to put a laundromat there. I don't know.
well, there's actually a laundromat right across the street.
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my questions. So thank you very much. And we can go on with the next one. And the next one takes us to Daily and just says Daily Street North, and I'm assuming again that one
Once again,
you want to just
That one's associated with Loretz.
Right.
Yes, we'll,
So you accept the assessment.
we're asking for confirmation, and then we will ask to be reduced or subtracted from its main holding. Yes, you're correct.
Okay. So I'll go to then agenda item. Oh, I got the wrong ones. Okay, so Davy Street here. Okay, so the next one is Lorette, correct?
Yes.
6800. Okay. Got it.
Proceed.
Give me a shot when you're ready.
Roll number 22-2497. Roll number 12097806805. Location at 618 Lorette Avenue. Owner is Joel Semchuk. We are valuing the property as it stands of January 1st, 2023, based on the economic condition April 1st, 2021. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. The subject property, based on evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021 is 1,300,000, and that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property, it's a vehicle service related property, original built between 1928 and 1987, on land area of 12,331 square feet, with leasable area of building 8,662 square feet. On page number 2, started picture air photo of subject property. It's on page number 3 and 4, more air photo of subject property. Let's look on page number 3. It's a rectangle shape of lot without corner, with service related, car related services. And also on my page number 4, we can see Daly Street, a free angle property, very close to the subject property over, like how explain, triangles, like subject property has without corner, same corner for previous property, Daly Street, same size of corner. On page number 5, more air view of subject property. The subject property zoning C2 commercial community. This district intend to accommodate more intensive commercial site that do not have a local or neighborhood orientation. The district intend to include attractive commercial, institutional, recreational, and service facility needed to support the surrounding neighborhood and broad community. On page number 7, I have presented 10 rents, 2020 reported rent rate for service, vehicle service garages. And we can see average of my comparables, $14.65, weight average $12.22, and media $12.63. On page number 8, our income estimation, we use 8,062 square feet leasable area. We apply $12.04 per square foot. We did apply vacancy loss of 2%, expenses 3%, shortfall on vacancy $6 per square foot. Our capitalization rate 7.1%. Our estimate value, capitalized value 1.3 million. On page number 14, it's income expense mailer provided to us. It's a owner occupied building. Let's look specific on my rents comparables on page 18. All my comparables, vehicle service garages located in suburban area. Let's look on my first comparable, 670 on page 19, 75 Stadacoma. It's a building plus parking lot facing Stadacoma. Another comparables, 3331 Portridge Avenue. It's service garage with more photo below. On page 21, I showed 11118 Chevier Boulevard, vehicle service garage with street photo below. On page number 22, 721 Watt Street, same service garage. On page number 23, another service garage on 1315 Henderson Highway. On page 24, 484 St. Mary Road, service garage. On page 25, 1429 Clarence Avenue, air photo, street photo. Another comparables on 26, 1870 King Edward Street. Comparables on page 27, 2645 Pembina Highway with more photo below, street photos. It's triangle shape of subject property or of comparable property. And page 28, 1861 Pembina Highway. So my comparables, 10 comparables showed average $14.65 per square foot. We assess it's $12.04 per square foot. It's fair based on evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021 is 1.3 million, and that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Story.
Thank you very much. Ms. Shavel, have you visited this property?
Although I have not inspected it, the subject property, I'm able to completely accurately describe. It's based on the data we have on file.
Okay. Now, so this property is unique in that we have one part where the lifts are for the cars. That's built in 1928. And then the steel warehouse is built in 1987. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so this would typically be viewed by the market as a maybe something more of an industrial style property. Would that be fair?
Yes, it's service garage.
Okay. And then the land to plan then becomes extremely low at 1.53 to 1 for an industrial style property, is it not?
It has, if you open page number 3 of my photos, it has parking in front of building, in a side.
Okay, but just to be clear, my question is about a standard land to building that is expected in the industrial universe, and 1.53 to 1 is very low, is it not?
It's a commercial property. It's not industrial property. It's in commercial zoning.
Right. Okay. But I think I heard you just say that you agreed with me that it is.
It's an industrial building because it's car dealership, but it's a car service garage, but its location in commercial properties.
All right. Page 3. We can see that this property is impacted by a rail line and its rearage. Is that fair?
Correct. In same triangle, same size, upper side for Daily Street roll number. They separated by the road, so we cannot measure them together by our standard.
Okay, so we are negatively impacted by a rail line. How does the model capture that, the fact that the subject property is indeed impacted negatively by a rail line? Does it make an adjustment?
You can see that our capitalization rate much higher, 7.1%, and plus we use a low rate compared to market rent, $12 per square foot.
Okay, so on page 7, you have these comps, but I couldn't help but notice that the range that you're suggesting here is between $7.50 and $29.30.
Yes, I have 10 comparables, but our average showed $14.65
Right,
and media $12.63.
Yeah, so we're not arguing the rental rate here, but I just wanted to point that out. And the other comment I had about these rental comps is that they all have higher land to building ratios, and they all have their own parking, correct?
We can look on my photos. That's why I showed street view, air photo, and street view. Yes, each has parking.
Perfect. Okay, that's great. Now, on page 8 of your workup, are all of these inputs model derived?
Yes, it's a model driver.
Okay, and in terms of a 2% vacancy loss, do you have anything in evidence that would support a 2% vacancy loss for this property?
Our data showed that owner occupied building. To be fair, we apply every time 2%.
Okay.
To be fair across all properties.
Okay, but nothing, just to be very clear, nothing in evidence, correct?
It's it's our research showed.
Okay, I think I've made my point. In terms of the table on page 10, which property type would this property fall under in terms of the cap rate that you've applied?
It will be suburban property B. And we can see that our outside sources showed between 6% to 7.75%, and we assess 7.1% inside outside sources provided to us.
Okay, so you're suggesting then that the appropriate cap rate table that be applied is based on office suburban B. Is that what you're suggesting?
It's all outside sources has same qualification. We just following.
No, Michelle, I'm asking
it's a suburban office building for us.
And we can agree that there's absolutely no office finish in this property whatsoever, correct?
All car service garage, our suburban office building. And you can see City of Winnipeg at 60 percentile showed 5.6 to 6.9%, and we apply 7.1% to account for.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but okay, I think I'll leave it to the board to decide whether or not this is an office building or not. Those are my questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Mareski, any questions?
That one answered before. Low vacancy. Did you say that a service garage is a property type of office, or is it an industry? Could you clarify that?
Service garage belong to office properties in our classification, but we apply much higher capitalization rate to account for still industrial part of building. But it is commercial property in commercial zoning, and in our classification, it's office related. So I'm an office properties, and I defend this property. Industrial properties are usually located industrial zoning with bigger square footage of land, but this in commercial C too.
Could you go to some of your aerial shots here? Let's see. I get, okay, let's go to page 4. I get that the property is the one with the red dot on it and it's got the corner cut off there, that triangle. This belongs to the railway, I would imagine, right?
Yes, correct. A similar size adjacent property, it's a Daly Street. We have separate roll because we cannot measure them together, do a separation by road. We just physical cannot measure them together. That's why we have 2 roll numbers.
So that kind of the other triangle within between the cutoff triangle that belongs to the railway and the other 2 buildings, that's kind of just a yard space being used there for.
Yeah, it's look like as owner use some road.
To get
For
like the use it for
parking.
parking, what it seems like an awkward space there.
Yeah, it's awkward space along the railway. I correct. Yes, it's correct.
Almost waste space. Would you agree?
That's why our assessment for triangle property on Daily very low. We
Yeah.
apply affluence by railway in separation from major building.
So overall on this property, there really isn't much area for parking, is there? Or movement of vehicles.
We don't have restriction on the road on Lorette Avenue, so you can see some car parking on Lorette Avenue.
But for a service garage, they would want to have all their.
Service garage, yes, they have renovate cars, so most of the car inside building, and they utilize corner of Lorette Avenue, curve of Lorette Avenue to put cars, and they have these extra triangles for Daly Street roll number.
Oh, and where is Daly Street land? Where is Daly Street land?
If you look on page number 4, low picture, it's a purple triangles, Daly Street North.
So it's a triangle then, Daly Street North?
Correct, yes, it's look like same size what was cut from subject property by railway. If you mirror, it will be same size.
All right, okay. Thanks for clarifying all that. No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Nate, any questions?
No, sir. No, sir. Oh, I was gonna sneeze there, sorry.
Okay, so, these questions have already been delved into, but, this isn't an office. And do you feel that the cap rate that the adjustment you made is sufficient to give an effective or reasonable cap rate to this property in your evaluation?
Yes, if you open page number 10 of my brief, office buildings between 5.6 to 6.9%.
I understand, but this isn't an office.
Yes, but it's belong to office department. I explain why, because it's commercial zoning land. And we apply 7.1% much higher our city 16th percentile to account for this difference.
Okay. It's a very, as Mr. Story pointed out, there's a very low land to building ratio.
That's why it's not industrial property, it's office area. Defend this property, assess this property.
Do you know how many parking spots there are on such a property?
We can open view. For example, on page number 5, street view, how cars parking around this building.
Yeah, I see some. And do you know how many vehicles will be parked on the adjacent property that has been confirmed? I know we can't ask you that question before because we just confirmed it, but I think it's a
more photo on page number 4. We can see that the owner also use curve of Lorette Avenue to park in car also. But when you renovate car, you just give key to owner and they moving car around after renovation. So it's no specific designate. I don't see count.
No.
So it's a key by the tenants, by the owner, and he can move car around.
Okay, would you agree that if you have to move cars around and you have a small area, that would affect the rent that was achievable by a landlord?
That's why we assess it's $12 per square foot with media of $14 per square foot per reported rent for us.
And all your comparative properties, you know, with the land to building ratios on them?
All my comparables reported to us, and we can see that they have land, more square footage. If
I
you
can see
open
that. There's
page 19, that's why I showed air view and street view.
yes.
That's why their rent more higher, what we assess for the subject property.
Okay, that's my questions. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Story, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Okay, 618 Lorette. This is a garage. It is not an office. So we've treated it as the market would view it, and that is as a property that would more rightly fit under the purview of the industrial world. So we have two buildings here. One was built in 1928. One was built in 1987. The building that was built in 1928 is the small garage section that has lifts. And I will point out that in many industrial properties, we see just this sort of steel frame construction. We see lifts for properties that are involved in transit, logistics, and cartage. That is very common. So it is not, I cannot stress enough that this is nowhere near an office property. The land to building, again, is extremely low at 1.53 to 1. Mr. Chair, you'll ask me how many stalls there are on site. And I don't know, because it's very, very, what we would call scattered. It's scattered parking on both the site and the adjacent property. It's not, what do you say this?
It's a service station, so it's going to be transitory.
It's
Cars are
transitory,
parked
and
and
it's-
they're taken to the garage to dig it out and,
Absolutely.
okay, I understand.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
But I guess what would be interesting is how many vehicles can fit there conveniently.
Right.
So we have to move everything all the time.
Yeah, but then you'd have to, I mean, in order to gain access to the actual entrance to the warehouse space and the lifts, you would typically need to keep that clear. So I have photos on page 5. Just very quickly. The property is composed of 2 industrial style buildings that have been merged onto the same roll. We note that in the past that these properties were separately assessed, but now this little triangle of parking is sort of on its own. But we do submit that it is indeed part of the what we call the main holding. Again, the masonry building built in 28 has very low wall heights at 14 feet. The second building, it was built in 87, and it has 18-foot wall heights. Typically in industrial, that 18-foot wall height would probably have a 16-foot clear height. So it's appropriate for what they're using it for. City has applied a variant age of 1975. There's of course no basement. Now we're using a slightly higher leasable area, and that's based on the fact that we recognize that there are 496 square feet of mezzanine space. So it's there, it's being used. So we apply a half rent to it, which is typical of market. On page 7, you can see this sort of gravel area where there's just scattered parking or transitory parking, I believe, Mr. Chair, as you pointed out, and that's correct. I was at this property again in the last week of September. So I had a walk through with the owner, had a look at what goes on and got a very good sense of it. So in terms of the market rent, the assessment taxation department is using approximately $11.88 when we use 8,558 square feet. So a resulting model rent of $101,634 per annum. Just want to make sure that's correct.
I'm sorry, their potential rent is 97,084. Okay, that's fine. We are using 99,720. So our potential net market income is slightly higher. I've provided some comparables here. So we're suggesting $12 on the main, $6 on the mezz. Now for vacancy, 2% is extraordinarily low. 4% is a standard vacancy and collection loss in industrial. Now, I don't know how far we want to go into this, but I did provide you with our capitalization rate on industrial properties, which will support what's been, what I'll submit here today. If you'd like me to go into it, I'm happy to. But suffice to say, our 4% vacancy is reasonable and is supported by our 2023 Altus Industrial Capitalization Rate study. Now, the shortfall rate that's applied in office is higher at $6 per square foot. But again, we have treated this like an industrial property. So we've used $385 per square foot for our shortfall, so lower than the city. Again, we do continue to apply our 7% reduction for the for non-recoverable and other structural reserve. So again, we've provided you with that study, and you're all well aware of it. So in terms of our industrial cap study, what we would consider non-investment grade properties are typically applied a base capitalization rate of 8%. And so we have indeed applied a cap rate of 8% to the subject property. And in terms of site-specific issues, we do note, as we've mentioned a number of times here, lack of parking, inferior land to building, piecemeal construction, age and quality, and lack of finish in the 1980s building. So the access to this property, there is a garage door, but there's a property that is related to this one that's separately assessed at 624 Lorette, but that's not in question. But we do notice that there's a lack of finish. There's a what we'll call a sort of a Spartan build that affects the age and quality. Again, piecemeal construction, land to building, and inferior parking. So with all of those factors taken into consideration, our workup is found on page 13. Our income value prior to the reduction of the assessed value of the adjacent lot is $1,096,401. When we account for the downward adjustment so as to not double count the ancillary parking, we come to a total value of $1,056,401, rounded, of course, to $1,056,000. I have photos from my visit. This is the interior of the steel warehouse on page 15, as well as the exteriors. Let's see, the interiors have, actually I said 16 foot clear, but it might be a little bit higher based on those fluorescents that are hanging down. But regardless, we would consider this to fall within the non-investment grade industrial property sphere in our review. So again, we've applied an 8% cap rate. Once again, my final page, this property is indeed fully owner occupied. So I've provided the calculation with the adjusted cap rate without the 5% removed for management non-recoverable. And you'll see actually the values that we're coming to are in and around 125 per square foot, which is somewhat high, but I'm quite comfortable with this value. I think it's supported based on what we've submitted, and I think that the model has erred in applying office rates to a property that is clearly more typically would be viewed as an industrial property. So that is my submission, and I thank you.
Thank you. Should I have any questions?
Yes, please. Open page 11 of agent report. Everyone's there?
Mm-hmm.
You provide 7 comparables. You didn't provide street number, so I cannot verify them, correct?
Yeah, and that's the same comment to your previous comment. We did discuss this file. So I would have been more than happy to provide them, but I suggest we didn't discuss it in advance. But no, we could have discussed it, but we did not. And again, the rent that we're applying is higher than what you're applying. So
All your same comparables, it's industrial property, correct?
these are industrial comps, yeah.
You would agree that industrial market is different to office retail market?
I would suggest that this property is not an office property, and I cannot stress that enough. Yes, the office and office and industrial are indeed different, and you've assessed this as though it's an office, and it is not. It's closer to an industrial property. It's a vehicle service related industrial property. Yeah.
Yes, our assessment office retail together. So industrial property in your comparables located on industrial land, industrial area, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So they have completely different low rate compared to retail properties located on commercial property, correct?
Subject is not an office building. So the rents that we've applied here are reasonable. We've used a higher rate than you have. I'm not sure if you're suggesting that the rental rate is in dispute. I will just point out once again that we are using a higher rate per square foot than you are. But you're absolutely correct. Industrial properties are different than retail and office properties. This property is neither a retail nor an office property.
So your comparables $12 media really well support city assessment of $12 per square foot. So it's industrial properties that rent for less compared to commercial office and retail property, and still support our
Asking a question now or making an
and
argument?
$12, correct?
No, your assessment is too high. And I think that maybe what we've discovered here is that the reason why it might be too high is because it's been miscategorized. You've said a number of times. First, you agreed that it was more industrial than retail or office.
Industrial type of building, but it's office retail building.
Okay, but no, it's not. It's not an office. There's no degree of office in this building. It's not an office building. It should not be assessed as such.
But it's a retail commercial building, correct? It's same assessment for office and
vehicle
retail
service
commercial.
garage. It's a rigid steel warehouse where they work on cars. From a market perspective, that is certainly closer to an industrial property than it is to an office property. So that's our position.
You haven't provided any evidence to support your mezzanine rate of $6, correct?
Our mezzanine space, we're using a half rent compared to the main floor space, but that would be based on typical market activity. But no, I don't have anything in my industrial capitalization rate study here, but that is not atypical in the market. So that's why we've used that.
You didn't provide any support evidence for capitalization rate of 8%.
I provided you with the entire Altus Group capitalization rate for industrial properties. The panel has been provided with that study, and you have as well. So yes, I have.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Knight. Any questions?
I do not. Sorry, I was on mute.
No problem. Mr. Mareski, do you have any questions?
Yes, can you just briefly summarize again, based on your assessment of the cap rate study and how this property applies to it, how you arrived at 8%?
Absolutely. So again, we've provided the entire industrial cap rate study. Let me just go to my table. We track the sales as well as the broker's compression rates from cycle over cycle.
Which page would that be?
In the cap rate study, this will be on, let's see here.
Oh, that's a different document.
It's a different document, but it's effectively once we've looked at our sales in the relevant period, we've looked at the capitalization rates compression from.
What page are you looking at?
Oh, I'm sorry, these are not numbered, but this is my cap rate study, Altus cap rate study.
Is the industrial?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, we'll find it then.
The one that's titled industrial vacancy, industrial and vacant. Which page? I'm sorry.
Yes, it should be on page 17, and I apologize.
17? Okay.
Numbered, why it is, but you should see a table, and the heading should be recent Winnipeg industrial sales.
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Page 17, okay.
Okay, so our conclusions for the industrial market for 2023 is that Class A properties. So if we're looking at tiers of quality for the top quality industrial properties, high land to building with favorable site coverage, high ceilings, good locations, newer construction, higher quality construction. Those properties should typically be applied a cap rate of 6% to 6.5%. Class B, which is the majority of many of the industrial properties in the city of Winnipeg, ought to fall between 6.5 to 7.5. And then for we'll call the non-investment grade properties, so properties that would not be transacting for investment purposes by larger property holders, REITs or pension funds, more of the, we'll call them older properties with low land to building, low ceiling heights, weak covenants in terms of rents, should typically be applied a baseline capitalization rate of 8%. Some of the points that we looked at again are site size, condition, external factors, building condition, the age life. Now we do note that there's one of the properties here, one of the buildings was built in 1928, it's almost 100 years old, so that would certainly be a consideration. The configuration or layout, this property that we're dealing with today has no fixturing. There's air conditioning in the larger property, but there's no office space. There's no flex space. It is simply a large rigid steel property, and then regulatory factors. And quite frankly, it is zoned C2, which permits vehicle service garage use, but would not permit manufacturing of any sort or anything like that. So with all of those points taken into consideration, we do believe that an 8% cap rate ought to be applied. We can't use our office cap rate study for this property. That wouldn't make sense. That would make about as much sense as using an apartment cap rate study on this property. So we're using the industrial, and that's how we came to 8%.
Okay, just quickly again, and thank you for that. Non-investment grade,
right?
What would that mean in just a couple of sentences?
Sure. So
non-investment grade
again, so properties that are older, that have some external factor that is not desirable. I note that this property has a negative rail line influence that would impede future development of this site. You can't obviously expand further because it's pinned in by an active rail line. Low land to building, so typically below 3 or 4 to 1 land to building would be considered inferior. Modern industrial properties would have ceiling heights north of 20 feet. These are lower than that. So these are all factors that are considered. Okay, very good. Thanks.
Okay, and answer that question. I also see that there's a Class S. What is that?
Sorry, where is that?
On your page, the same page we were talking about. Anyway, your page number 17. So you have Class A, B, C, D, Heritage, and Class S.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it's on.
That's what the office. Sorry.
Oh,
okay. You know what?
Okay.
Okay, sorry. I have them. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay, I'm going to take that question back.
Sure.
Okay. My next question is, what do they do with the mezzanine?
They probably use it for storage. They're not working up there. It's not a.
Okay, so it's for storage.
It is a space.
They're not repairing cars up there, obviously.
No,
It's not an office.
no, it's not.
Okay.
No.
So it's for storage.
So we erred on the side of caution and applied a half rent to it. But given its size, given the quality of that building, I might revisit that. But I'm comfortable with the overall value that we've submitted today.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask questions?
I'm sorry?
May I ask questions about CAP study?
You can ask questions about the CAP study because that's just been dealt with now. So you combine your questions to that and go ahead.
Please open page 15 of the study. It's prior to reference day Q1 2021. We can see single property between 4 color 6% to 6.75%, correct?
I'm sorry. What is between 6 and 6.75?
A color study for Q1 2021 for first quarter between 6% and 6.75%, correct?
For Class A and Class B industrial.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we've established here for a number of reasons that this would be seen as a non-investment grade. So that's why we're using 8%.
Let's open page 16. You provide us office capitalization rate effective April 1st, 2018, previous reassessment, correct?
Sorry, this is for the industrial study, correct?
Yeah, your page 16.
Well, you said office, so I'm just clarifying what we're looking at. So yes, the previous cycle, that is based on a reference date of April 1, 2018. That shows our cap rate conclusions from the previous cycle. The next page shows our current conclusions, and that is supported by the cap rate compression expressed by the broker reports. So that is why we have that there.
Your page 17, you provide capitalization rate for industrial properties. It's for industrial properties, correct?
Yes, the industrial capitalization rate relates to industrial properties. That is correct.
And plan area of buildings more as 50,000 square feet.
Are you talking about the sales?
Correct. Your sales.
So yeah, so those sales. So the city used to provide sales to support their cap rates, and the verbiage there was that none of these are intended to provide a one-to-one comparable, but rather to support the table. And that's exactly what we're doing here. There's so many adjustments that you'd have to make that if you wouldn't have a direct, exact comparable property. So the purpose of showing these sales is to show how we've supported our table. We've showed you the sales that we've looked at in the previous cycle, the sales that we've looked at here. And that is how we've developed that is one of the methods that we've used to develop our cap rate range. And again, we have looked to the compression reported by the brokers, and we've monitored the market from reference date to reference date. I feel very, very comfortable with this cap rate range that we've applied for industrial properties this cycle.
Your comparables located in industrial properties, more or less 50,000 square feet. You compare this capitalization rate with 5,000 square feet of leasable area, commercial land, correct?
I think I've pointed out to you here that we're not using any of these one specific entries as a comparable to the subject. We're simply showing you that there are sales that support our conclusions. And if we look at our subject, again, low land to building, quality of materials would be considered inferior. The ceiling heights, the zoning. So yes, I feel very comfortable using a non-investment grade rate of 8% on subject property. It is not an office property, and it should not be treated as such.
So do your comparable subject property, it's not industrial property with commercial with industrial land, industrial area, correct? It doesn't have enough land and in different location, correct?
No, that's not true. There are lower grade industrial properties with low land building ratios, and that's why they're considered non-investment grade.
We established that it's retail property and commercial land. You didn't, on your investment categories on same page 17, you showed range between 6% to 7.5%, and you're asking for 8%.
No, I'm showing you that industrial class A ranges from 6% to 6.5%. Those are new buildings with high favorable land to building, high ceiling rates, good covenants in good areas, good location to trucking routes. Those would be applied 6 to 6.5. Class B buildings, the older stock that may have some issues that are tiered below the class A, we apply 6.5 to 7.5. For properties that have issues that would not be considered investment grade in the eyes of the market, in the eyes of a prudent purchaser, they are applied a base capitalization rate of 8%.
We have established that subject property located on commercial land, and you will provide capitalization rate for commercial for industrial properties with industrial zoning land, correct? It's
Yeah, these are industrial-
apple and orange, completely two markets, correct?
I'm sorry?
Your comparables completely different market compared to the subject property, industrial and commercial. It is
No.
true.
Okay, so I don't know how many times I can reiterate this. The property is, its use is primarily industrial. It is not an office building. It has no degree of finish. It is very typical of a property, an industrial type property that services vehicles. It is not an office building. So if we look at it through the lens of this is, market would say this is indeed a property whose primary use is industrial, then what capitalization rate ought we to put on the income stream? And we should not be using an office capitalization rate on a property that is primarily industrial, or it's not primarily, it's industrial. Its use is industrial.
Our valuation office in retail property. Most of my comparables, car repair.
You're asking questions right now, Ms. Scheibel.
and
Ms. Scheibel, excuse me. You're asking questions.
neighborhood shopping.
Will you please stop for a second?
Holy.
Ms. Scheibel, you're asking questions on the capitalization rate. You're not arguing. If you want a summation after, I'll give you one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but right now you're asking Mr. Story questions about his industrial capitalization rate. And that's what you're confined to. You already had your questions before. And you already had your argument.
No further questions.
Thank you. Do you want to make a summation?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead. And I'll let Mr. Story likewise if he wants to.
Our job to analyze the market evidence and determine the best conclusion of market value. My opinion of value is supported by rent comparables that very similar to the subject property. All my comparables, car repair garage and retail properties. The evidence has relied on rent comparables that completely indifferent industrial market and that not support and undervalue the subject property. Based on my evidence analysis, the April 1st, 2021 market of subject property, 1.3 million. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, do you have a summation?
Thank you, sir. Just very quickly. I think we've established that this property is not indeed an office property. It should not be treated as such. And just very quickly, the assessors said that their opinion is that the value is supported. I will point out that there is nothing in this submission to support the vacancy. There's no submission outlining the expenses, the city's position on expenses, and there's nothing of value supporting this capitalization rate. So I think that I've provided a fulsome analysis of this property. I visited it. I've given you all of our studies, and I think I've explained it. And I think that at a minimum, we can all agree this property should not be treated as though it were an office or some such thing. So our value is very well supported, and I thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on with the next item, which is the.
Maybe have.
No, you already had your. You
No,
already had your
break.
summation.
Sorry, I don't summation. Can we have 10 minutes break, please?
Okay, we have a 10-minute break if you need one.
Mr. Chair, I'll give you the NOI on Revanche when you're ready to here.
Okay.
So it's 163,586.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
You're alive.
okay. So we're next, ready to proceed with the item number 7, and I think Mr. Story is going to ask us to confirm that property.
You were correct. Yes, on the same basis as the others.
Okay, so it's assessed at $399,000. We asked that to be confirmed.
To be confirmed so that we may ask that it be
Right.
apportioned to the different income streams on the following property and then removed from the overall assessment. Yes.
Okay, so we'll now proceed with item agenda number 8, which is 1619 Pembina Highway in Shiva, when you're ready.
I would like clarification about subject item 7. Appeal is with respect to the clarification property in liability to taxation only. Land value doesn't not appeal.
Value is under appeal.
No.
We have,
If you open Board of Revision form, appeal only classification to property and liability to taxation.
Sorry, which one are we talking about?
Where is this?
Number 7, file number 22-2508.
Okay.
Oh, for the parking lot?
Land, vacant land, correct?
For the parking lot. Yeah, and that's fine. We're confirming it.
Okay, we're following to next
And
property.
just to be very clear, just the reason why CCNL would have been checked off is because this property does have some exempt space. So typically when property has exempt space, we do check those as grounds for appeal protectively. So
Okay,
anyway, that's why that would be, that seems atypical. That would be why.
well, by confirming it, you withdraw that.
Precisely.
Okay, so it has been withdrawn, so we can now proceed with, as I say, agenda item number 8, 1619 Pembina Highway, Mashaba. Will you please proceed?
File number 22-2492, roll number 0306591800, located at 1619 Pembina Highway, and owner is Robeder Investment Limited. We are valuing the property as a stand of January 1st, 2023, based on the economic condition April 1st, 2018. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only, based on the evidence in this report. In this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021 is $4,674,000, and that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. A subject property office building located on land area of suite at 16,402 square feet, with leasable area over 24,000 square feet. On page number 2, we can see subject property existing lease. We can see units 201 rent for $14.25. Units 201 rent for $13.75. Second and third floor rent for $15.70. And fourth floor rent for $14 per square foot. With leasable area reported 24,563 square feet. We did assess 24,793 square feet. On page number 4, I presented comparable rental rate for surface parking. I have 9 comparables. Sherbrooke, Spence, Good Street, Balmoral, Victor Portridge, Young Street, Edward Gall, and our media mean Okay, median $57.44 and median $49.61. Rent comparables, I presented 5 rent comparables on Harbor, Pembina, Taylor, Harrow. And we can see mean or average $16.70, in media $18 per square foot. On page number 5, we have parking lot income. We have 20 parking stall. We apply $13 per stall and 5.5 capitalization rate. How we estimate capitalization value of 131,000. On page number 6, office building estimation, we assess 12,269 square feet and at $15.07. We did apply 6% vacancy, expenses 3%, shortfall $8 per square foot, the capitalization rate of 7%. So his over 12,000 square feet generate 2,374,000. On page number 7, another portion of 12,523 square feet, we rent at $14.30. We apply same vacancy loss 6, expenses free, shortfall $8 per square foot, capitalization rate of 7%. This portion of area of 12,523 generate estimated 2,219,000. On page number 8, summary, income value summary, we can see stream 1, it's parking revenue, stream 2, office, taxable party and exemption, stream 3, altogether generate 4 million, estimate market value 4,674,000. Let's look specific on page 12. I provided income expenses mailer where I took my existing leases from page 13 on income expense mailer. We have income expenses questionnaire statement for us. Okay, keep going. Let's look on my comparables. On page 19, my first comparables, 900 Harrow Street. It's leases in 2020, 2019 at $18 or $18.50 in 2020 February. My comparables number 2 on 1248 Pembina Highway. It's both 2-floor buildings, my first and second comparables, and they lease at $15 per square foot. On page number 20, 1-story building, lease in 2019 for $20 per square foot. 1-floor building on Taylor Avenue, 1260, lease in 2018 for $12 per square foot. It's an area of over 51,000 square feet. That's why it's $12. On page, that's it. So my rent comparables on page number 4 showed that average $16.70 and media $18. We did assess it's one portion $12,000 and $15 per square foot, another $12,000 and $14.30 per square foot. It's fair and very well supported by my comparables. We assess parking lots at $13 per stall. In my comparables on page number 4 showed mean or average $57.44. So our, based on evidence in this report, it's assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021 is $4,674,000. In that 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Story, any questions?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Shable, have you visited this property?
Although I have not inspected it, the subject property, I am able to completely and accurately describe it based on the data we have on file.
Okay, so no. Now, it says that there are two buildings here, but that's not correct, is it?
We have liability dividing. We have a taxable party in industrial exemption.
No.
So-
No, under parcel use, it says office. And then it says number of buildings, 2, but there's in fact one building, correct?
It's one building, correct?
Okay, now does that error affect the model output?
No,
Okay,
it's not affected.
okay,
Why we presented stream 2 and 3 to show the exempt portion of building?
yeah, no, I understand that, but that typically doesn't lead to an erroneous building count on the front page, so I just want to check that with you. It says that there are 20 outdoor parking stalls, is that correct?
Correct.
And then based on the leasable area, and with what you've submitted by the permits, then it would require extra parking, would it not?
I didn't look for this
Oh.
specific area,
Okay,
but we have 20 parking lots.
yeah,
And
20
we
parking stalls, and then it has
Uh,
ancillary parking that's included in the leases. But if we just do a quick calculation of the leasable area, 24,793 divided by 750, then we need 34 parking stalls, correct? Based on your submission?
And plus in this law, we have not less as 2 parking per tenants. And if you open page number 2, subject property leases, we have four tenants. We need at least 8 parking spot, and we have 20. It's enough.
No, that's not what you submitted. You
Because
submitted-
how low submitted? 750 square feet per leasable area, or at least 2 per tenants. We have 4 tenants, 8 parking for mandatory,
Okay, so
and
is
we
it,
have 20.
okay, so it's the department's position then that this office building could operate and subtend the rents that are being modeled if it had a stall count as low as eight stalls?
It's by law,
Oh, okay, all right.
minimum requirement.
So, okay, page 4. I'm looking at these surface parking stalls, but none of these are anywhere near the subject, are they?
No,
Okay.
Correct.
And they serve,
and minimum showed $38.75. We apply $13 per stall. It's fair.
no, it's not fair because these would serve the U of W, would they not? Those first 4 at least, that would be
Yeah.
student parking in Spence and West Broadway, wouldn't it?
It's what reported to us. All my
You've included it here.
9 comparables provided in my comparable properties.
I
table
understand that there are 9.
reported to us. I cannot show what not reported to us.
Okay, but I'm trying to determine what bearing this has on our property. So for example, those first 4 are in the Spence neighborhood or the West Broadway. And then the Galt, that's the end of the East Exchange. That would be South Point Douglas effectively, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then the one that you have on number 5. Did you look at the? I guess I should. How do I say this? That parking lot is mostly exempt because it serves the WRHA building. Are you aware of that?
No, if you open page 17 of my brief,
Uh-huh.
let's open 17. Oh, sorry. 17 of my brief, we can see parking income reported to us $18,360.
No, I'm asking you about your comparables. I'm
I
asking why
talking
these are
about
included.
income and Spence Mailer reported to us, and we assess only $7,200. Its parking rent estimated
Okay.
are
we
include
get-
all expenses adjustment. It's
Okay.
fair.
Can we agree though that you have monthly and casual parking? So these are surface lots in the downtown
that are rented on a monthly or casual basis, they bear no resemblance to the subject properties. Would you agree with that?
I would agree that subject property collect $18,360 revenue for parking spot. It's inside the range of my comparables. It's fair to use $13 per stall.
Okay, but I'll leave that to the board. I think I've made my point. In terms of the rent comparables, a couple of them stuck out to me. Paid number 5, that's a 510 square foot unit, correct?
Correct. But it was rent in 2019, close to reference date, how I selected them.
And then number 4 is 51,000 square feet.
Yes, that why rent much low, $12 per square foot. And
that's a build-to-suit building. That's the RBC call center, isn't it?
Yes, but it's rent in 2018 and $12. It's when for low space, it's more higher rent. We should upward adjustment $12.
And then those two on Point Road, the two on Point Road, those are medical offices. Is that right?
It's office building, correct, but it's 2-floor buildings.
And medical
like subject property. Yes.
Medical typically commands a higher rental rate than standard office finish. Is that correct? Can you agree with me on that?
In our system, it's still office rent.
Okay, so it's in your system. It's not representative of market. So on page 5, now can we just be very clear that the parking is included in the tenancy or is charged to the tenants of the property. So it's not a surface parking lot that rents to the general public on a casual or monthly basis. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it's correct. It's for tenants use, and they collect $18,360 for this parking.
And the cap rate that you've used, now the parking that's associated with this property is not divisible from the main holding, is it? You couldn't carve it off and sell it. It's on the same roll, and it services the main holding, and it's by your own account.
It's service tenants, correct?
Okay, so then why is the capitalization rate so much lower on this income stream than the income stream to which it's tied, which is the office income stream? Shouldn't it be
because it's just a parking lot. It's no major renovation involved. No.
Okay. All right.
So
and then,
that's why it's distinguished. So parking lot across whole property.
And we do have some exempt space.
5% to be fair.
Yeah. Okay. So we have some exempt space, and that's because there's a daycare in this property, and the daycare uses some of this parking. So there's but you've not provided any exemption for the tenant who is exempted. But in one of your rent comps, we do have exempted space and parking. Is that correct?
It's correct because on page number 7 income expense statement, the park revenue it can use for any tenants of this building.
Okay. So page 6. Now this is the non-exempt space. Everything here is modeled, correct?
Correct.
Did you review the actuals that were submitted by the owner?
Open page number 2 of my brief.
Page 2 of your brief.
Subject property leases. Units to 102 rent for $14.25.
Okay, perfect.
Another for $13.75. Second, third floor on St. Mariel School was exempt for us for $15.70.
Okay. Perfect.
And
so what I'm seeing here,
$14 per square foot, and we assess at $14.13 and $15. It's less that reported to us.
Okay, so I'm not quite there yet. So just stay with me, and I'll get there. But my question is, you've got the subject property leases, and that's fine. But my question is, where does that 529 square feet come from? Because that's not reported anywhere here. Where does that come from?
Which lease? What? Sorry,
the fourth input, premise ID 24054. So it's got a very different premise ID from the preceding 3, and the preceding 3 are correct. Those are supported by, as you rightly pointed out on page 2. Those are the tenants, and that's fine, but my question is, where does that 529 square feet come from?
We have 4 premises on taxable.
Okay, but I'm looking at your subject property leases, and they all check out. 1787, 2745, 7208, and then on the next page, we have the daycare, 12523. I guess my question once again is, where did the number 529 square feet come from?
Usually when new tenants arrived, sometimes wall moving around. That's why it's a small difference between what we assess. We assess 24,793 minus what reported to us. It's different.
Okay, so there's, just to be very clear, just to speed this up, there's nothing.
230 square feet, if divided by reported to us, it's only 0.9%, less than 1%. It's not.
Okay, but it's an error, to be fair. It shouldn't be there.
It's
right?
not error. It's close enough.
It's close enough. Okay.
Yes, because I
Okay.
say when new tenants show up, usually wall moving around.
Wall,
It's
okay.
0.9% difference. It's nothing.
Okay, and then the rent.
It's not so crucial in our
Okay.
assessment.
Oh, okay. But it is actually crucial because we're dealing with a matter of contribution for the purpose of rightly apportioning an exemption. So it is important. Now, in terms of the
Let's look on page number 2, exemption 200 and 300 St. Maria School. They reported area 12,823 square feet. What we assess? No,
Right, so
little,
oh,
a
okay,
little
so you
bit
just don't know.
less. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the rents that you're using, those are modeled, but those are again contingent.
Model driven, yeah, and very well supported by reported rent and exist subject property.
Okay, but those rents, and they're modeled, correct?
Correct.
And those modeled rents are based on the presumption that there would be adequate parking. Is that a fair comment?
No answer.
Sorry?
No answer. It's assumption.
No answer. Okay.
Because model estimate subject property, all subject property, what reported to us, estimated all parking lot on properties. It's a full analysis.
Okay, so for the cap rates that, or for the rental comps that you've used, those all have parking, right?
I don't use my comps for capitalization rate. My capitalization rate 7%.
No, for the rental rate, for the lease rate. All of these properties.
Lease rate $14 and $15 per square foot, very well supported by lease reported to us and supported by my market evidence.
Okay, and the expense ratio and the cap rate, again, those are modeled and there's nothing to support that evidence, correct?
We apply 3%, not expenses, and 8% per square foot for vacancy loss, correct? It's model driven, yes.
Okay, and there's nothing again to support that in terms of evidence that we can review. Now, on page 7, this is the exempt space. You're aware that that covers 2 floors, are you not?
Yes, if you look on page number 2, it's unit 200 second floor and 300 third floor, correct?
But it's 2 premises, correct?
It's 3 floor, 2 floor for 1 tenant, correct?
Yeah, and you're suggesting that it's 1 premise. So does that affect the model in any way?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay, and then the overall capitalization rate that you're using on this property is brought down slightly by the parking lot, but again, we look at your office cap rates, you're using a overall cap rate of 6.96, And is that I guess it doesn't matter if it's a suburban A or a suburban B. Those are all treated exactly the same in the model, is that
Yes,
correct?
and Kohler, CBRE, and Cushman showed between 6% to 7.75%.
Right.
Our overall capitalization rate inside this range, correct?
Well, hold on, you're using 5.96. So no, they're using 6 to 7.75. So actually, you're outside of that range.
No, from 6 to 7.75 inside this range.
No, 5.96, 6.96, I'm sorry. Yeah, 6.96.
It's
okay.
fair.
I don't know, well, we don't have any evidence here to support it, but okay, let's move on. I guess the rest of your brief, the financials, and that is fine. I suppose those are my questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Knight, any questions? Oh, you're on mute.
I was coughing, so I put myself on mute. Sorry. So I'm just confused about the parking. In these leases, does each leasable tenant get so many spots in that lot that they paid the $30 per lot, or it's just given that anybody that's leasing can park in that lot?
If you open page 15 of my brief, it's income statement. We can see revenue from rent and parking income, $18,360. So it is a parking rent and pay extra to the owner of the property. That's why we separate.
Okay, and so why
parking
is this
stream.
parking lot then different from all the other parking lots? It's only because it's not on its own zoning number?
The subject property has own parking lot, and we're talking about another lot across the street.
Okay, so in this case, then the lessees pay to use the parking lot that is on the same lot as this.
On the same
Okay.
property building, so
Okay.
it's enough parking
Okay,
spot
and
for
then
tenants.
if we go back to the difference in the square footage that Mr. Story was talking about, that 529, could that possibly be hallways?
We did estimation together. It's a difference what reported to us in our assessment, 230 square feet. It's 0.9% difference. It's not sufficient. It's
I
not
understand
so
that, but
crucial.
could that possibly be the hallways?
I don't know this part,
Okay,
because I
thank you.
say when new
That's
tenants
fine, that's
sometimes
fine. If you don't know,
moving
that's fine.
wall a
That's fine.
little bit
Thank you.
change on
Thank
square
you.
footage.
That's fine, thank you.
Hey, Mr. Rissy, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Okay, Ms. Knight asked you if it could be hallways. Let's put it this way. Do you know of any other vacant spaces in this building that aren't being rented out right now? Because you already gave us a rent roll that showed 4 tenants, and you've got 5 premises here. So is another
Yes.
office or anything else
Yes,
that you
if
know is vacant?
If you open page number 1 of my report, gross floor area 31,520 square feet, and we assess less as 25,000. Or this difference for hallway, common area.
Okay, but I asked you if do you know that there's another space in that building of 596 square feet that is vacant?
According to leases on my page number 2, whole
I
building
know, I see the lease on your page number 2.
by 4 tenants. It's full building, and we still give them vacancy.
Okay, so the whole building is rented out. Fine, thank you. You answered my question.
And
Next question. Next question. You say there's 20 parking spots on site in this lot. We have the other lot that we've confirmed. How many spots are there in that lot?
In our case, we assess like vacant land, property across the street. It's 9,462 square feet. It's a vacant commercial land, community C, zoning C2, and can be used for redevelopment. That's why we assess separate. It's a value piece of land.
Is it used as is it being used as, excuse me, is it being used as a parking lot right now?
Let's see on photo, street photo. It's a triangle shape of building, land. And what's here? I didn't check my word. Yes. If you open brief for parking lot,
Yeah.
on page number 3, we can see a car parking there. Page number 3, bottom photos. It's air views, air photos. Yes, parking. Some car stays there, but it's less than 10,000 square feet commercial land facing Pembina Highway. It has its value.
How many parking spots you have in that lot?
We don't assess like parking lot, we assess land value, commercial land value of 9,000 square feet.
Okay. That's my question. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Story.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So again, we're at 1619 Pembina. This property is a 4-story masonry veneer frame wall structure presently being used as an office building. It's located on the west side of Pembina at the corner of Manahan, south of Chevrier. So the property was built in 1966. I visited this property again at the in the last week of September, walked through, had a look at the different areas. Has a plan and basement area of approximately 6,304 square feet and a gross floor area of approximately 31,521 square feet by the city records. And the city has assigned an effective year built 1975 to the property. So it is a slightly older office building on Pembina. There's no rentable office space in the basement. However, there is some space that is used as storage that is being rented, and we have included that in our calculation. There's also some income that comes by way of signage. There's a at the reference date there was a law office who was renting signage, and the daycare also rented signage on the side of the building. We've included that in our workup. And the parking, Mr. Chair, you've asked about the parking count. There's 20 on the site, that is correct, and 36 on the roll that has been confirmed. And again, we will ask that that be deducted from the income-based value of the subject, as it does serve the tenants of the office building only. And we've included that revenue, but we've apportioned it appropriately so that the exemption is captured based on what is being used by the daycare and then what is being used by the other tenants of the property. It is irregular in shape, and the total site size is approximately 16,402 square feet, and it is zoned C2. On page 7 of my brief, my big red arrow here, you can see the property. It does not indeed face Pembina. It is behind the office, and this is space that is used by the tenants. It is leased out, and we've captured again that value in our income approach. So on page 11, we discussed the market rent. So the model rent that the city has applied is $15.21 square feet overall to 24,793, resulting in a model rent of 316. Just make sure this is correct. 361,857 overall. Just check that. Oh, it's 369,057, but I think that's based on a adjustment to the leasable area. We've used the actual rents in place. You can see that on page 11, there's 11,740 square feet of the property that ought to be considered on the taxable income stream, and the daycare occupies 12,523 square feet over 2 floors. We believe that the actual rents in place are the best indicator of value for this property. We do note that some of these leases were coming to an end. near the reference date. We haven't adjusted the cap rate for that, but it is a point to mention, given what we know about the office, the tenants market in the office universe post pandemic. We know that is that would give significant pause or caution as a risk to an owner. So again, we've used the actual rents. They equate to total rent per annum of $362,334. We also include, as I mentioned, the parking and signage income. This is on page 12. There's a separate header, and you'll note that the income and expense questionnaires have both roles together. Just further evidence that these properties are treated by the owner as a single economic unit. And again, there are 20 stalls on the site, 7 of which are electrified, with 36 stalls at the ancillary parcel for a total of 56 stalls overall. The daycare uses 41% of the total stalls. The actual parking and signage income for the years leading up to the reference are calculated on page 12. Parking revenue has appreciated. In 2018, it was $16,800. In 19, it was $17,540, and in the year leading up to the reference date, it was $18,360. Signage revenue, however, has remained flat at $2,988 per year for the 3 years preceding the reference date. The expenses regarding the parking lot are calculated as $14,579 as per the owner's income and expense statements. The net income is therefore calculated as $3,781. And the proportionate share of 41% of the net income is applied to the exempt income stream, with the remaining 59% applied to the taxable income stream. We've incorporated the signage income of $2,988 into our analysis. Half of that income will be attributed to the daycare or the exempt space, and the other half will be attributed to the taxable portion. It is the law office, and that is in the taxable income stream. Basement rent, storage rent is also included in our calculation, and that is all in the taxable income stream. The daycare is not using any storage, so there's no extra income being collected there from the daycare. It's all in the taxable side. In terms of vacancy, 6% is reasonable and accepted. Shortfall of 8% is not in dispute. You know our position on non-recoverable expenses. So we're using a cap rate here of 7.25%. There's a general age and quality issue with the property. I went through it. It does have what we'll call dated fixtures or dated finishings. And there's clearly a lack of parking. It's the income stream to this property relies on that ancillary parcel. We have deducted it from our income workup. Now, the income workup is available to you on page 14. And with everything that we've discussed here thus far, we use 2 income streams. We're not going to break off the parking lot as a separate income stream. It doesn't make sense to do so. That would be, from our perspective, that methodology would not be correct. It's not been the methodology that we've presented in the past and that's been accepted. So we continue to use the OFX taxable and the OFS exempt income streams. And we come to an overall value of $4,378,040. Of course, rounded to $4,378,000. The NOI on the exempt space is $173,392.
I'm sorry, give it to me again.
Yes, on the exempt portion, the NOI is calculated as $173,392. On the taxable side, it is calculated as $147,255. And again, that brings us to $4,378,000 rounded. In terms of the adjustment for the non-recoverables, I've done that calculation for you as well. If you're not inclined to include the 5% non-recoverable, our value comes to $4,412,265, which we then round to $4,412,000, and that is portioned on the taxable side at a value of $1,822,000, and on the exempt side, the value of $2,590,000. Now, for interest sake, Mr. Chair, the NOI that's adjusted then on the taxable side is 153,308. And on the exempt side, it's 207,386. And of course, we have
207, 386,
207,
386.
386, yeah.
Thank you.
And then our initial cap rate of 7.25 falls well in the range of 6.5 to 7.5 for suburban office. Again, those are calculated including the 5% non-recoverables. Should you elect to remove them, we do ask that those NOIs be capitalized with an adjusted cap rate, in this case of 7.5%. Again, I was in this building. My inspection photos are here, page 16. Didn't go into the daycare. It's sort of not appropriate in my mind to take photos of children and the daycare space. So I didn't get photos of that, but you can see the common areas. The kindergarten is on the second floor. You can see in the sign there, the daycare is on the third floor. There is an elevator. There's market photos at this point for the space that was occupied by the law firm. That's included on page 19, and that will give you a sense of the what we call the present physical condition of the property. And again, the balance of my brief is the income and expense submission. It's identical to what the city has submitted. I do note, though, that when the income and expense mailers are submitted, they do include both rolls together. They treat this as one economic unit. The stalls are not rented to the public; they are all rented to the tenants. I've included the separately assessed parking lot that we're asking be removed or deducted from the main holding so as to not be double counted. And you can see here it does not front Pembina. It's right behind subject property, and if it fronts on anything, it's on Manhattan. But to give you a sense of where that is. So our submission would indicate that a value at the reference date of $4,378,000 is appropriate. And we do ask that the value be amended to better reflect market value of our subject. And with that, I'm open to questions.
Thank you. Michelle, questions?
Please open page 11 of agent brief. We are looking on marking rate, office taxable. We're looking specific for Anton James. He leases 1,787 square feet at $12.50. If you open page 20 of agent brief, it's a fourth line, Anton James lease from 2018 at $14.25. If you divide 2,122 monthly rent multiplied by 12, you divide na leasable area 1,787 square feet, it will be $14.25. So your average and $13.71 during mistake will be higher, correct?
So the rent that I have here starting on July of 18 is $12.50, running through the reference date, right? So yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to review that.
Monthly rent $2,122 multiplied by 12 months. You divide on leasable area of 1,787 square feet. It will be $14.25 versus $12.50, correct?
Yes, that is how that calculation would work out, but I don't have the supporting document in front of me.
Okay.
Yeah.
By correcting this mistake, your assessed value will be higher what you provide us today, correct?
If 1425 were indeed the appropriate rent, we would have a slight adjustment upward. Yeah.
No further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Mansky, any questions?
No, I do not.
Is there any questions?
I do not.
Okay, so just to get this straight, Mr. Story, you're saying that none of the space it's written out to anybody else, but I don't know if it really matters. Because in fact, you are reporting all the income
Yes,
on your income statement for parking.
it's all tenants.
So we're,
Yeah.
you say it's all into this building, but if they're keeping somewhere else, if you report all the income,
It would
it's
be
still,
engineered, it's the same number. Yeah.
still all the income.
But it is, just to be very clear, it is the tenants. And it does have some bearing on the, how the exemption is apportioned. So, yeah.
Okay, and you gave us the NOI for both portions if we were not to accept the non-recoverable.
Either calculation. Yeah.
And you'd want us then to deduct those still after we did the calculation, whatever calculation rate we choose on, if we're going to use that, and that's what we will, but I just think we were by the 399 that you've already confirmed.
That value has already been deducted in the calculation that I've given. So the figures that I'm suggesting have already accounted for a downward adjustment of the ancillary parking.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's my questions. So I believe then that we've now completed all items on this agenda. So we're going to call the meeting to terminate, and we'll render our decisions as soon as we can. And thank you both, Ms. Scheibel and Mr. Story, for
Thank you very much.
your attendance
Thank
and your preparation.
Thank you, everyone. Much
Thank
appreciated.
you very much. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.